Good evening and salutations, our soap opera fans. So, today's question, or whenever you're sitting there watching it, was Josslyn right in her assessment about Carly, part two? And of course, at this point, this guy right here, this guy right here needs no introductions. DC Soap Sanctuary people, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Mr. Bostic, on this lovely Saturday evening or whenever you guys are watching it in an audience near you.
Hmm.
I'm doing pretty good though. No, I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good this week. I'm managing better than I did prior weeks. What about you?
I'm doing good. Sleep is actually starting to get a lot better. So, I'm very happy about that because my
That's why you're
mornings
so
have
chirpy.
been a lot easier. So,
That's why you're so chirpy today. You seem like full of energy. That's sleep. That's sleep. You're doing it. You can do it. Makes a difference.
yes, and plus I got a review out earlier, so it's less work on Monday.
Oh, YNR.
Yes, exactly. So if you're a member, you're gonna get to sit there and see the YNR video a little bit earlier than everyone else. But
Because of
yeah,
the Canada posting when they posted for Canada.
yes. So I got to watch it today.
All right. Okay.
So yeah, taking care of business, but having fun doing it. It's gonna be crazy next year when the gates come out. It's gonna be for an hour. That's five soap operas.
They got 1 week. They better have a
One
cliffhanger
week.
that first Friday. I better see a cliffhanger. I'm out.
See?
I mean,
The
honestly, five
critics
episodes
the
is
critic
enough. If it
the
was a regular
critics are
Part2
tough.
show, what
The
was that?
critics are tough. No, I was just saying the critics are tough, even in soap opera world. Just want to sit there and let the audience know that.
The thing
Okay.
is, with a primetime show, 5 episodes would be like halfway through the season, right? Would it not? So five
Hmm.
episodes is fair. I think 1 week. That Friday, I need a cliffhanger because I have seen past soaps that have premiered and left the airwaves, like soaps like Texas and Somerset, and I saw what they did and didn't do well. And I hope that the Gates gets it right. They got 1 week to impress me. 5 days, 1 week.
Okay, I got to ask you a question before we get to the question of the day or night. Have you ever heard of a show called Venice?
Yes, I have actually. I
Okay.
have. You been watching it?
No, I just found out about it yesterday. I was sitting there talking about it in the chat, and I was like, "Wait, I know this woman, Hillary B. Smith, aka Nora Buchanan."
You
And I
remember
was
Nora?
like, "Yeah, I remember Nora." Nora and Colin, and which was actually one of my favorite characters, by the way. Todd was too, but now I'm like, I don't really know about that. But the point is, I do remember those
Still a
characters,
great character though.
bro. It's like since the saying, it's Luke's still a great character.
I mean, what makes a great character is not so much they were good and bad, but it was the written and the hypes and the depths to which they were written.
Mm, I guess so. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. That makes sense.
Okay, very
But
simple.
yeah. But I mean, the point is, like, this show actually came out in 2009. I've never heard about it, and it's still going.
There's also the Bay.
Yeah, people remember the Bay though. I think more people know about the Bay than they do about Venice.
I feel like that's where soap actors go when they either tire their shows or they want other material. Like it seems like that's where the good stuff is written for them, but we don't get that in our screens, unfortunately, in daytime television.
Didn't you say that you tried watching the Bay, and what was your thoughts of it?
It just kind of felt like more of the same when I saw in daytime. Like it was good writing, but the thing is like if I'm watching something on a streaming platform, it needs to cater to me because like I said, I don't watch soaps for diversity. So I'm watching outside stuff. You need to cater. I need to be catered to those other avenues, and I wasn't. So the bed was okay. I know James loves the bed. He loves it, but I'm not crazy about it. It was okay. I might give it a second chance, but it's okay. It's okay for now. It's okay.
Okay. Now
What are
I
your
don't
thoughts?
know how. I don't. Well, I actually
How do
haven't
you
watched it yet because it's just four is a lot already, and five is going to be it's going to be a lot. But I haven't got a chance to watch it yet. I was just sitting there wondering what other people thought of it. But let's get to the question of the day. I don't know if you. saw Friday's episode or Thursday's
I'm current.
episode.
I'm currently.
So, did you think that her assessment was right as far as Carly is concerned with Jocelyn?
I think so. I mean, I think that if I'm not mistaken, Carly didn't tell Jocelyn that Michael was involved, right? I don't think she even told him. No,
Nope.
she didn't. And I think that was the factor that really made her do it. But unfortunately, in this situation, less is more. You don't want to tell people too much. Why do I have deja vu saying that? You don't want to tell people too much. Um, and I think that for her, she has to keep it a lie, and Jocelyn's mad at her. But see, Jocelyn doesn't understand in this world that they're in, which they're always going to be in that world, just because she has kids with Sonny. There's more than what meets the eye, because she's over here looking at the surface like her mom is lying for saying, "Why are you lying for him?" But what she doesn't know is that Michael saw it, and Michael was the one who implicated himself and moved everything. So this is part of the reason why Carly was involved, to be honest. I think even on a conscious level, this is what brought Carly to it, even though she hasn't realized as of yet. She's talking about the loyalty to Sonny, but it's really because of Michael, in a sense too. But Jocelyn's so caught up in her feelings, she can't see it. And I honestly felt like low key Carly, there should have been a slap from Carly to Jocelyn at some point. I'm surprised Jocelyn didn't get one. Carly was a bit too nice. I would have liked to have seen that.
Hmm. Yeah, my whole thing is like her heart was in the right place. It's her delivery that was the issue.
Mm.
Name calling her an idiot and stupid and desperate. Like, yes, that was way too much, and she definitely deserved a slap, and I definitely did give her the smoke for that. But my whole thing is like, as obnoxious and disrespectful that Jocelyn was, and that's just what it is. Carly, you raised her, right? So you raised her, and you're sitting there. Yeah, I'm just like, you did a terrible job. Let's just put it this way: you did a terrible job. Listen, if you raise a child to a point where they feel that ballsy, that gusto to sit there and say that to you, that reflection's on you.
I also do feel like in some ways Jocelyn's a bit of a hypocrite because I feel like had this been Jason, she would be like, "What can we do to keep him safe?" There would have been no
Mm,
question about that. So it's just like, oh, Sonny is a violent man. He beat up Dex. But Jason shoots people for a living. Jason is Sonny's hitman, sis. How have you forgotten that part? See, this is what I'm saying. Jocelyn is just a reflection of Carly. The same hypocrisy that's in Carly is also in Jocelyn. Because if it was Jason, there would have been no problem. It would have been like, oh my God, Jason's hurt. Guys, you gotta help him. And you're talking about Sonny's this worst man, this violent man, this criminal man. But look at what Jason has done. Look at the things that Jason has done. So Jason just carries out the orders, but he's no better than Sonny. And had it been Jason, like if Jason had shot Ava, I don't know that Jocelyn would have been like, "Mom, why are you giving him an alibi?" I don't know that she would have. I don't know if she would have done that. So
me and Jocelyn, what you mean that Jason would have shot John?
yes, 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 yes. And if he would have shot Ava too, and he would have shot
Yeah.
Ava. I think on both of that. But see, this is the thing with Trina and Jocelyn where they differ. Trina is willing to hold Ava accountable. That's the difference with Trina Jocelyn. Jocelyn is not going to hold Jason accountable, right? And she's only going to hold her mom accountable for Sonny because she hates him. That's it. But when everything was good, when that same idiocracy, right? I don't know if that's even a word, but that same idiot nature that was putting food on the table for her, right? She didn't have a problem back then. She didn't have a problem with Sonny back then. It was more when the Nixon Falls things came into play. She had a problem with him. Both her and Michael. It was hypocrisy. So Michael didn't have a problem when he shot his dad not once but twice. Michael didn't have a problem with all the different things that Sonny did. Michael didn't have a problem with the fact that Sonny was the reason why he was in the hospital for half his childhood. But no, it's him cheating with Nina that did it in for the both of them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's actually a perfect assessment of that. Um, Carly has some very shitty parenting skills, and it's a reflection that shows in her children. Um, Now
Definitely.
I've seen a lot of people sit there and talk about John and how they felt bad for him and how his character was destroyed from how he was and everything. Sonny's disgusting and stuff. And I'm like, Sonny, and this is something that we were talking about last night, and I was like, Sonny is a mobster. What did John think? was going to wind up happening when he crossed the mobster and he went after his daughter. And I'm like, I know this sounds harsh and everything like that, but I'm like, he got put down like the animal he was. So, yeah.
His death was dark. His death was really, GH has been taking a lot of different undertones lately, and they've actually been telling some really intriguing stories lately, except for the whole Lois getting a tutor. But we're going to go on that.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm just going to touch on that later on if I want to touch on it right now. If I
Hmm.
want to touch on that. I get it. We need comedic relief. But, I've been telling some really interesting stories so far with John Cates and him getting shot. And, when Sonny just shot him, because that was the rule that Sonny never broke on GH was shooting with that, at least not on purpose. And to see that he was just like, I had enough. And I think the thing is, we the viewers had enough because we had watched Christina go through months of carrying this baby, thinking that it's gonna come to term, thinking there's gonna be a custody battle, and the writers were like, psych, and just pull the rug out from under us. Like, no, she's gonna die today. The baby's gonna die. And it pulled on our heartstrings, which is what exactly was brilliant writing. This is what I'm talking about when soaps can set up a perfect plot twist. You know what I mean? Where you don't have to reinvent the wheel because you took us on this emotional journey for 6 months. We were all invested in baby Irene slash Adela. We were invested in that baby. We were. And now that the baby's gone, even me, I feel the hurt for Christina. I'm like, damn, even I want that baby to come back. In fact, I have never felt so hurt by a soap baby death than I have now. Not saying I don't care about babies, not I'm saying, but like this is the first time I felt something. I'm like, damn, you know? So when Jagger was doing or Cates was doing all that, I felt like I understand everyone's frustration. I was starting to get frustrated with him too. Now, granted, Sonny does deserve to pay. Justice for John Cates, okay, right? Hashtag justice for John Cates. But I get his frustration because even I was like, yo, you are doing too much with Christina. Like she literally just lost her child. She literally just lost her child, and you are coming at her neck. So
Yeah. Um, well, you're a lot more compassionate than me, but like, this is something that Dion said. Dion was like, they really changed his character around and tried to make it seem like John was coming after Sonny for years. And from what people have told me, that he really wasn't. Like, I remember him being on a night shift. He was doing other things, and Sonny tried to make it seem like, oh, he was obsessed with him. So having him come back, having him being unhinged and everything like that, this is where I use the term, well, you know what? They just had somebody, they just sent somebody in so Sonny could sit there and beat him up like a jobber on wrestling. Just get somebody and to prove how strong and manly John and manly how Sonny is. Because it's like that, from what I understand, that doesn't seem like something like he really went off the rails and started doing things that was like, that wasn't his character.
but did you feel a deja vu with this storyline? Because I did.
No, what do you mean?
Because this is something I noticed that soaps do is that when they can't tell a story at a particular time, they come back and tell it in a different way years later down the line. Because here's the thing, this time it was John Cates. Before it was John McBain who came after Sonny for his sister and the time. And they had the time in Atlantic City. Remember when John Bain came from Lambview? Oh, if you were
Hmm.
watching, well, no, you were watching. This is
Yep.
GH because you were actually
Yeah.
watching GH.
Yeah.
When John McBain came from Lambview and said, I'm coming after Sonny because my sister died, his so-called sister we never heard about would like to live. Um,
Hmm.
it's a it's very similar to John Cates' story. Very, very similar. Where John was like, oh, I'm now a federal agent now with Lambie PD. I'm coming after Sonny. My sister died. I need to get justice for her. And because she was working at one of Sonny's strip clubs. And I don't know if the same thing was with Karen, but it was something along those lines. Very similar story here. But of course, they couldn't play that out because of the whole Prospect Park lawsuit thing. So then he had to come back as Silas Clay. And then he came back as Hamilton Finn and Finn is now gone. But I'm like, this because I started thinking about this story. I'm like, man, this is really similar to this thing. Very, very similar storyline. And I'm like, would this would have been how that would have played out? Is that what the writers? I mean, well, it was different writers at the time. We don't know for sure, but I don't know if you noticed those parallels, but I did.
I mean, I can see it now, except for the fact that he was just so unhinged and stuff like that. Because at least with John and stuff like that, Karen was the history and stuff like that. We knew about John and Karen and everything like that. So that was already established. With John, apparently, I mean, with John McBain, it was like this was a sister that they just decided to just make up. They decided to make up this history between those two, as opposed to General Hospital. That was actually history that was in the show that people, if they followed, they could remember.
Yeah. And see, that's the thing too, is that I feel like if you look at it too in a certain way, so I can't remember. At first, it was John Benson, then it was John McBain, then it was John Cates. All of them happen to be law enforcement. John Benson, I
Oh
think it was
yeah, yes, yes it
Carlos
was. Yes,
he was
right.
special prosecutor on Sunny. Then it was John McBain. Now we got John Cates. The three Johns. John 316.
Mm, okay, I didn't sit there and think about
We
that.
got the three Johns, the
Um,
Trinity.
Now let's get into Willow and first of all, I'm just like F Willow's tears. I don't care. There was a scene where she was sitting there crying. She was looking at the picture. I'm just like, bro, you're kind of a serial cheater. And this is the second time she's actually kissed Drew. On top of the fact that she cheated on Chase, when she was, with Chase and stuff like that with Michael. So it's like you keep sitting there trying to make it seem like you're not this bad girl, you're not this cheater, but you have a track record of doing that. And part of me is just like, you might as well sit there and accept it or try to do something about it or be honest. But these tears and these crying and stuff like that, like, I don't care.
Willow has remorse because I do think at the end of the day, Willow is a good character. It feels like Elizabeth 2.0 in certain ways, which I'm going to get to Elizabeth in just a moment. Her and
Hmm.
Rick, this just really brings out the worst in Elizabeth. We're gonna go. I'm gonna go into that in a little bit. But with Willow and Drew, they're growing close, and Michael is so wrapped up in Sonny's affairs that it's costing him his marriage. And I think this is the thing with people who are around Sonny, it always costs them something. It always costs them something. I mean, even with Christina, this is costing her mental health, her sanity at the moment. And then look at what Alexis had to do, throw away a gun that belonged to Sonny. And mind you, Christina's not even responsible. But it's like all these things that are costing people because of their ties with Sonny. All these little things it's costing them. And it continues to keep costing them as a result. And so with Willow and Drew, they're growing close. And I don't think she knows that Drew is also involved with her mom. And so I guess that's where the soapiness of comes from. Which I don't like that. That's such a cliche route I had to go with that too. But they need to give Drew an edge because Drew was getting real boring. He was getting real boring. So they had to give him an edge. But for Willow, I feel she's a good woman and Michael's a good man. I feel that I do feel like she's genuine. She's very genuine in her remorse. And that's the way I feel at least. I feel she's genuine. Nina wasn't as genuine with Nixon Falls, even though she did call Carly first. I'm always gonna put that out there. She did call Carly first, even though we want to make it seem like Nina was a villain. She called her first. She made that call, ladies and gentlemen, for the record. But Willow, lately she's been more aligned with Drew, and I get it. Drew's had time for her. They're going close. Michael's not handling his business.
Hmm. Okay. Now you said you had something about Rick and Liz.
I was like, okay, that's interesting. But meanwhile, when Finn got kissed by Hope, it was all cool now, right? Okay, so we're talking about Rick, right? Let's talk about Rick.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that too. Yeah, talk about Rick.
Rick brings out the worst in Elizabeth. It is so weird that she's able just to talk and ha ha and chi chi with him after like all the things she's known he's done. And he really does bring out the worst in Elizabeth. It's like Elizabeth is the only woman he's ever loved. But I feel like the fact that he was willing to do that to Alexis so quickly with the gun thing shows you Rick is still trash. Basura. He's still the same man. I'm like, damn, bro, like that's Molly's mother. Like,
Exactly.
it's like, come on, Rick. Like you, she like literally Christina is also his niece, and you and Sonny on semi decent terms, right? I think last time I went to Port Charles, was he defending Sonny for something? So it's like, what are you trying to do? Like, it's like Rick is trying to show he's like a one upping everybody, and for what reason I don't know why. Like we haven't seen you in like 10 years, bro. Like, and him coming back to town was not like shock, like oh my god, Rick Lansing, like it was last time. So it's like you were on decent terms with everybody. Chill out. Like where is all this coming from? It's like what are you trying to do? Or I don't know because Scotty's on vacation because so now Rick has to be the scumbag lawyer. It seems like it. But it's like, Rick, come on, man. Like, Christine is also your niece, also Alexis's other daughter, Molly's sister. And it's like, to do that and then drag Elizabeth into it, like, we have to tell the truth. I'm an officer of the law. I'm sworn to uphold the law. Did you think about the law when you locked Carly into that panic room a couple years ago? Did you think about the law then? Did you think about the law then? So it's like, come on, bro. Have to uphold the law. So when Elizabeth was like, "Give me a break," I was like, I was thinking the same thing too. Like, bro, give me a break. Give me a. You're defending Heather Weber. Like, please. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, it was definitely scumbagish. I always thought there was like Rick and shit at this point because I'm just like the fact that he wants to get Alexis in trouble and up until a point where he's like, you know what, Molly be okay with it. Molly would want to know the truth. I'm just like, is that really what you're gonna tell yourself?
Yeah.
Is that how you're gonna sit there and clear your conscience by turning in Molly's mother because you think that she would want to know the truth? Bro, for such a smart person, you are really saying some acidine shit right there. Because
Maybe
that's just stupid.
Molly wanted to know the truth when you hid Jake Barnes' identity, aka Drew's identity, from him. Maybe Molly wanted to know the truth.
Oh,
You
mm.
know, maybe she wanted to know that truth too. You know, well, Molly never cared for Jason. Her and Jason never had a close bond, but still, you know what I mean? Maybe Molly wants to know that truth. So it's just like Rick is really. I was watching the screen. I was like, bro, come on. Like you need to calm. Like you really need to calm down. Like you need to calm down. So we got to go tell the truth. And Elizabeth went to the station with them too. I'm
Well, I mean,
like,
at that point, she was gonna have to. If he was gonna tell the truth, eventually they were gonna sit there and call her in. She was gonna have to sit there and, you know.
he's a bad
So,
influence. Rick is like when you see a girl in high school and she's with that toxic boyfriend, and like she's a sweet girl, she's a good girl, but when she's with that particular guy, when they get back together, she forgets the whole world exists. That's Rick for Elizabeth, honestly, because he's straight basura. Now, Lucky brings out the best in her. Nicholas, toss up, you know, but Rick just brings out the absolute worst in Elizabeth, absolute worst. So yeah, I was just, and they were just like sitting there grabbing coffee, going for like, he on the bridge. Like I'm like, this man really? Hmm.
which, by the way, I just want to sit there and point out once again just how random that was. I'm just like, all right, so that Port Charles is kind of a crime-ridden city, and you decide to sit there and take your ex-wife or whatever, just strolling along late at night, nobody's there, in this dark-ass bridge. Like, that makes sense. It's almost like you need to say, why don't you please just rob us, people? Come on, all the thugs and everything like that, y'all could just come out and just rob us. I mean, I have money. I don't know how much money she has, but the point is, you can sit there and just take whatever we have. Like, that makes sense in those two idiots' heads.
The same bridge
I
that has
really
fallen
want to.
down multiple times, by the way.
Hmm?
That same bridge that has fallen down multiple times. That's
Well, I mean,
collapsed
yeah.
multiple times. They
Well,
decided to go on that
yeah. I
same
mean, that's
bridge.
a. Yeah, but I'm just saying. I mean, would you sit there and take your date or somebody who you care about in this dark, secluded place or whatever, where you could sit there and get robbed? Like, it's just a certain level of lack of common sense that I want to point out. But I also heard a theory, and this is a rumor so far as the whole Kelly Monaco thing, and
Lordy.
isn't it the saying that she got fired because she didn't accept the pay cut? I don't know how true that is. This is a rumor, whatever, that she didn't accept the pay cut, that the other staff did, and because she didn't accept it, and she probably looked at that contract and was like, "No, I'm not going to be making less money. You're not going to take money from me." It was like, "Okay, cool. You're fired."
But she's not
So I'm
technically
not.
listening. She's not really doing the scene. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying in general. It's like apparently every person. who does these shows that's on contract or whatever. It's like that's part of the contract. It's like you have to accept a pay cut at some point or whatever, and she was just not going for it. So
I mean, I get why they let her go because also her character is not really in the storyline. So
yeah, why isn't they paying them more money?
now,
But
why
I
not?
don't
Why
know.
not do pay cuts to their people? Why not do their people right? Why not maybe play their people right? I will say that because Nick is making the big bucks just for showing up and having coffee. Now Nick is being put back to work. For the longest time, he was just showing up having coffee and saying, "Hey, what's going on, big guy? What's going on? Yeah, all right, see you later." That was Nick every few weeks on YR. And then Sharon comes by like, my what is she like? She's getting little dish rags and stuff, and she's wiping the table. Comes in, what's going on? Do you need someone to talk to? I'm here for you. And that was it. See, that was it for Sharon. Coffee shop therapist. Is Sharon actually a therapist on YNR or not? We're still gonna get back to GA, but I'm just curious about that real quick. Is she actually a therapist? Did actually ever
I
establish?
gotta I gotta actually look that up. I really do. I really do. And plus, we do gotta talk about why not because there's some stuff we gotta kind of get into on that.
Right, right.
Um,
We're gonna
yeah, the
GA.
whole Kellen Marco. Yeah, exactly. The whole Kellen Marco situation is just crazy. I hope the actress lands on another show. That's all I'll sit there and say
Maybe
about
she
that.
come out the gates, go on B&B. I think she'd do great on B&B. I think she'd do great on CBS Daytime. I mean, just to try her in a different sphere. She could be Audra's older sister, or something. They could give her a role. I mean, but if she's willing to write, because honestly, I think Kelly Monaco's best role was as Libby on Port Charles. I'm gonna stand on business when I say that because there's some characters that's like they've been on multiple soaps. Like for example, Mara West. As World Tour fans are gonna disagree with me, but I believe her best role is as Ava Jerome because I just didn't see, and it's not because Ava Jerome was a bad girl kind of a character. There's just more range that is written for her as Ava Jerome than there was as Carly Tenney Snyder on As Will Turns, from what I've seen. So like it's all about with the range that the characters are given in a sense. Even for God, what I want to think of what else is on GH right now. It was also on another soap. Um, God, I can't think of.
Justin, is it Ned or Wally Kirk, or is he
He's the
just
same on both
he
shows.
just
Honestly,
yeah
it's
yeah
given the same energy. I really can't even compare it. It's like I feel like when I look at Justin and Ned, it's the same WhatsApp group, same person. I don't see any difference. You know what I mean? Cassie DePaiva, she was Chelsea Reed on Guiding Light, Eve Donovan on Days, and then obviously Blair Kramer Like to Live. I would think her best was Blair Kramer just because she had more range, not because she was on as Blair Kramer for the longest time, but she just had more range as Blair. And that's what I'm talking about when I say the character, so the actors, they play better on different shows. Not because how long they were on, it's about the range. Because Kelly Monaco was on GH longer than she was as Livy on Port Charles, but she had more range as Livy on Port Charles than she did as Sam. So
okay. Um, any other characters that we didn't talk about in General Hospital? I mean, I know we got Brad that's coming back. I don't really know what purpose is it for,
what do
other
you want to
than
see
for
for Brad?
Jason. I mean, I feel like at this point they're just having Brad back so they can sit there and say that they support the LGBT community. Let's just be real. Because I don't see anything for him. But then people have been sitting there saying, "Where's Ulbrich at? Where's Ulbrich at?" I'm just like, and what do you want to see from Ulbrich coming back? I'd rather see Miss Wu than Ulbrich, personally.
I think if Brad coming back, I think if bring back Miss Wu and do the storyline right, because I saw there was an Asian doctor at GH, and he was speaking, he was talking, he had a talking role. I always get those things, whether the person's talking or not. The man was talking, and I'm like, okay, is he part of Mrs. Wu's Asian dynasty mob empire? Maybe he's their mob doctor, and this is why Brad is trying to get back. Maybe Brad gets back in, he's trying to do the right thing. The mob doctor's like, listen, I need you to do this. I'm working for your aunt, and maybe him and there's so many ways it could do this. There's so many ways it can do it. And maybe the guy gets implicated in some murder of a patient and he marries Brad for like a marriage of convenience, or Brad is testified. So many ways it can do this. So many ways, guys. You see, that just wrote itself right there. That just wrote itself. But it's if they're willing to go there and put the depth into those characters. Because Miss Wu's reveal was such a letdown. because for years when we heard the five families, it was always Miss Wu. We would always see Miss Wu's neck for years. We never saw her face. It was like her neck or her back that we see. My neck, my back. That's what we used to see with Miss Wu. It was her neck or her back, right? So it's like we always
You
saw the
picked
back.
the nastiest. You picked the nastiest song to sit there and reference, but okay.
It popped into my head. I get, I think I accidentally set myself up for that one. But that's all we saw in Miss Wu. So when we finally got a name, a face, like a whole entity of Miss Wu coming to life, manifested in Port Charles, it was such a letdown. She was owning Curtis's club. Now she's like nowhere to be found. And that storyline had so much richness as to where it could go. And granted, she didn't need to necessarily be the ultimate rival for Sunny. That was boring. But she could have been another mobster coexisting with Sunny, also having stores in Port Charles and crossing past them from time to time. That could have worked. That really could have worked. And I think what happened is the actress, her I think her family members got sick or something like that happened. But that could have had so much range with it in a sense. So they let down.
Okay. Now, before we get to the next one, I want to sit there and quickly talk about Lucky because I feel like in a lot of ways they're messing up his character. And I sit there and say that, and I might have said this last night or whatever, but like he's becoming very Luke Spencer like. Like there was a scene where he was talking to that guy, or he was talking to Holly, and he was like, "Yeah, my family is doing just fine without me." And I'm just like, he's never wanted to be like Luke. He's never, what I'm saying? Like he was always about family because he saw how Luke was when it came towards his family. He never really wanted to be like that. Now he's more like Luke Spencer as far as even saying things like that. His personality's kind of shifted a little bit. Um, so I don't really know how the fans are going to sit there and like people are really excited to actually have Lucky come back, but it's like, is he Lucky or is he going to be Luke Spencer 2.0?
Are you excited? Back?
I I am. I just want to sit there and see how they do it. I mean, listen, having him come back is definitely refreshing. So I'll sit there and say that for itself, but like I don't know how they're gonna do the character. Like, I mean, I'm not liking the direction far as how the character is going, and hopefully there's a reason why he's. At one point he was this huge family man and never wanted to be like Luke Spencer, and now he's like, oh yeah, well my family, my kids are gonna do good without me. I want to understand how did that come about? Because at least with Jerry Jacks, they explained like how he went into just kind of who he was because of what happened to his girlfriend or something. I don't know if you remember that episode, but I need some sort of explanation.
You said that his return is refreshing. In what way would you say?
I mean, just a new character. Just a new character, just in general. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the characters that are on, but just to have Lucky get back, it's just like, okay, let's see what they're gonna do with him. Just the possibilities of what they can do with him. I will sit there and say.
I feel Lucky's return. I'm very underwhelmed. I'm more interested in the John Doe, than I am with Lucky. Um, because like you said, like he was a film man. Now all of a sudden, like he's in this dangerous situation in Africa, which I don't feel bad for him because it's not like he put himself in a situation like he wanted to be in those places. So maybe they
Mm.
do shoot you. Maybe learn. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you can learn a lesson. Maybe that might help you out. Maybe they actually do shoot you. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know because you put yourself in these situations. The same with Holly. She's always chasing danger. Those people, they like the two of them are always chasing danger. Those two. So it's like I don't know that I feel for them. To be honest, I don't know. I'm like, oh my god, I hope Lucky gets out alive. Lucky put himself in a situation, and he probably put himself in more. Like this is not gonna end. So it's hard for me to feel anything. And with Lucky, I know they're just gonna put him with Elizabeth. It's like the writers. I guess Lucky is Elizabeth's endgame, but I don't know why. I guess at times because I'm really over Elizabeth as a character. I don't know what purpose she serves on the show besides being GH royalty legacy. Because honestly, Elizabeth to me is such a non-starter of a character for me personally. I could go without her. I'm pretty sure I got a feeling it might be mutual for you. Like if Elizabeth left tomorrow, it wouldn't bother me.
No, I wouldn't lose any sleep over it.
Exactly. Like it really would. But like Elizabeth has not really to me grown as a character. I've seen her in the same spot since I started watching the show. I haven't seen an evolution with Elizabeth, to be honest. That makes me invest in her as a character. And I think most of the fans just love her so much because of nostalgia. But I don't know if they can really tell me why they like Elizabeth, to be honest.
Yeah, if you do like Liz, let me know why. Let us know why in the comment section below. Um, yeah. Now, moving on, unless
Wait,
there
wait,
was
wait,
some
wait.
some other character. Yeah,
Before we
yeah.
do, what do you think about Elizabeth and Rick? Like this whole pairing of the two. I know we kind of touched on it briefly, but what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm cool with it. I never really cared much about parents and stuff like that, but I'm cool with it though. They have history. Um, maybe Liz could sit there and make Rick less of a scumbag, maybe.
Mm.
So, there's that. I mean, that's some scum shit to do to sit there and turn in, Alexis, knowing that that's Molly. Like, you care so little for Alexis that you would sit there and get her in trouble, even knowing that y'all two share a daughter. So I'm like, hopefully, Liz could sit there and make him be less of a scumbag. I see the possibility in that.
Here's my thing too. I think I see two things about Get Ready and Happy and GH. Ava will either get with Rick or she will get with Jason. I feel like it's headed in one of those two directions right now. I don't know if you see it, but I see it. It's heading in one of those two directions at the moment
I
because
don't see that.
but here's the thing: the writing is there because all of a sudden when Rick was like, "Oh, I can't defend you. I'm sorry, I can't take your case." I got a feeling he may just reconsider taking her case. But here's the deal: seeing those two together, Rick and Ava, and then Ava was like, "Thank you, Jason. Thank you so much." Remember when Jason was patient X, and Ava was the one who discovered him? And I thought there was supposed to be something there, but they never went there. I think now the writers like, you know what? Let's go there now. Let's actually decide to go there. Let's do it because now they're putting Sunny and Carly back in each other's orbit again. I don't think romantically they're just in each other's orbit at the moment. But I do think that there might be something between Ava and Jason. Now, it would be cool if Ava and Rick got together and she had herself a Lansing baby and she joined the Alexis Davis Club, which is having babies by brothers.
Mm,
You know what I mean? So I mean, to me, I just feel like I see it going one of those two directions because the writing was so subtle there. I don't know. I caught those subtleties in a sense, and then her Jason like, thank you so much, Jason. You saved my life, Jason. Thank you, Jason. I was like, yeah, you little too thankful, a little too thankful there for me, a little too thankful. And I think the writers may just go there. I don't know how they would get Jason and Ava together, but I could see it happening because they're slowly redeeming Ava again. If you notice, they're slowly redeeming her character again, which I don't know why they had to make her character off the rails in the first place. It didn't make sense, to be honest. It just felt out of nowhere, but I'm here for it. What do you think? You think it's
okay.
gonna happen?
I don't see it. I didn't see any of those cues that you saw. I remember, I could have swore I remember you was there talking about this on Kyrisa's live stream, but I was like, even then when I was sent there reading the comments, I was like, yeah, I don't see it. I don't see any of it. But I mean, if it happens, it'd be a surprise.
I
That's the only thing I'll sit there and say.
I totally see it happening because Rick is like really back in the throes with everybody. You know, I thought he was gonna come back for a little while and leave, but he's really back in the throes. And it's nice to see TJ respect him because I feel like no one has respect for Rick. Like, okay, even Dante doesn't respect Rick, but I don't think Dante can even tell us why. It's just by association. Sonny hates you, so I hate you too. Like, Dante wasn't even around for all the Rick stuff, personally. And Rick didn't do nothing to Dante, from what I know, unless I could be wrong. I don't know that Rick ever did anything to Dante. So, um,
Why is he having all this negative energy towards him for?
I don't know because some people just have negative energy towards people for like really no reason. I feel like sometimes on the soaps, I mean, okay, there might be a reason, there might be underlying, but I would like to know what that reason is, or should be reminded of what that reason is, because I don't recall Dante and Rick ever having history. And if you can sit there and like chalk it up with the man who shot you, can you chalk it up with your uncle too? What's the problem?
Yeah, that's true. That is
Um,
actually 100% true.
Rick is so despicable, but the man who shot you, you can sit there and say, "I'm here for you. I'm here for you, Dad. If you need me." Like it's just, this is the thing with GA. It's like Sonny can do no wrong, and Rick is Rick is a despicable person, and maybe we did Carlos despicable, but Dante is also dating a woman who allowed Jason's son to get kidnapped. Well, I watched Jason's son get kidnapped, so just putting that out there.
Yeah, yeah, that's actually
And she was a
yeah,
scammer back in the day, as Angela Monroe, so whatever her name was. So just putting that out there.
yeah. That's crazy. That is. I don't know. But also you guys have to remember too that at some point I wasn't watching this, but I heard that Rick represented TJ when he got arrested for well, let's just sit there and say being black. But yeah, there's also that level of respect as well.
Right, right. Because Rick does need some allies in Port Charles. I don't think Rick what is well, I did see the panic room scene, and that was intense. Um, People can change. Listen, they can forgive Albrecht for all the things she did, and like, oh, Albrecht, Albrecht's such a great doctor. Why can't Rick be forgiven? Like the same thing, like when Terry was like, Brad, I don't know if we can have you back at GH. Britt did so much worse than Brad ever did. So did Albrecht. And I mean, granted,
Yeah,
Albrecht and Britt didn't ask to be back; they forced themselves back in the door. If you want to be real, those two forced themselves back in the door. So I just like sometimes realization to remember these histories that they're supposedly not may or may not be mad at. That's how.
yeah. Well, that's actually very true. But you know how these shows go. It's like there's a certain level of hypocrisy from like both sides, and then sometimes when they're not there and this, they like to sit there and try to act like they're on some sort of moral high ground compared to this other person. They kind of forget about the dirty deeds they didn't just do, but the dirty deeds that they did to the person that they want to sit there and be judgmental towards.
Right.
Which is going to be somewhere in a very similar scene when we talk about Days of Our Lives.
Can't believe it's been 40
But
minutes already. By the way, that's so crazy.
yeah, you could see the clock or just in
The
general.
clock,
Okay,
the clock. That's so crazy.
but yeah, but again, going in the B&B because I don't want to make sure we miss too much. Going in the B&B, they wrapped up this Luna storyline in like record time. Like the retcon that they try to do to put Luna as the villain didn't make any sense, but B&B wanted to just kind of force it, and I want to know what your thoughts. I want to know what your thoughts are.
I looked at the storyline because I was just now starting to feel the depths of Steffi in the cage with the last two episodes. I started to really feel it. I was like, man, like when you see, like, when you see Jaquee not having makeup on and she's in the cage, I'm like, damn, like this is good soap. This is a soap I would want to introduce somebody to day one of watching. This is stuff I was like, hey, you gotta watch the show. It's pretty good. What's it called? Oh, just watch it. Because never tell people the name of the soap. Even though it's a soap opera, they're not gonna watch it. But the Luna storyline, they did wrap it up very quickly. Sometimes I wondered, I kind of almost felt like the Steffi in the cage thing could have been drawn out a little bit more. Honestly, I think it could have been drawn because, like, things just came to the conclusion so quickly. Steffi's phone is at Rick's house, and Luna gets Bill. I think Luna's behind it. Like that was a quick connection to make, very very quick connection. Um, I don't know that I would have made that connection to be honest. Um, it would have been nice to see that drag out a little bit more, just by like another week or two. I think that would have been nice to see that drag out a little bit, um, to where we as viewers get the chance to feel more for Luna. Because, like I said, that story wasn't strong enough as to why she killed Tom House. It just wasn't strong enough. If she would have said that maybe some guy that her mom was dating at the time, when her mom was all over the place, almost try to touch her or something like that. We've gotten some kind of storyline like if she could have added that in the mix, we could have actually felt for Luna. But saying I want that lifestyle, it just makes her sound like a spoiled brat. Even though she went through some things growing up herself, it makes her sound like a spoiled brat. So I would have wanted a chance to really care. Maybe they could have given us like fake flashbacks, like flashbacks showing her mom, other actors playing the role, and us really feeling the depth of Luna's hurt. But the thing is too is also that we never felt Luna's hurt until this storyline, until now towards the end. So if we would have seen it play out here and there with her and Poppy, like, well, mom, like, I really need you to be a mother to me. I really need you to care about me. I really need you to be there for me. Like if we would have seen that, I think we could have even connected with this, even her still thinking she might be spoiled brat. We could have connected more with it. But from this to this, and then all this explanation at the end, and no build up or nothing even suggested that in the least bit, it fell flat for me. And I would have liked to have seen Steffi held hostage for a little bit longer. And okay, I got something else I got to touch on this storyline, which I was just like, why did she have to say that? Like, what was that all about? But first, let me get your thoughts. I'm gonna talk about what that scene was. I was like, did they really just do that? I'll go ahead and let you. I'll let you get the
I
floor.
mean, my whole thing. No, I mean, you kind of said the same things I was thinking. Um, but sometimes it's one of those things where it's like, you say that you wanted it to draw out a little bit longer, right? But then we always have those stories that drag out too long, and then we're not happy. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I do kind of sit there and I look at it, and I'm just like, well, we want it to drag out longer. Oh, I don't want this show to sit there and drag out too long. So you're just like, is it them or is it us sometimes? You know, as far as we're just not happy, you know?
Right.
That's why I do kind of look at it and I can give them a little less slack because how many times have you been in my live streams or you done your live streams or whatever? It's like, oh, this is taking forever. Oh, how long is this whole Brady gonna sit there and, be on trial for or whatever? It's like, well, they did kind of wrap it up. They just did it in a very sloppy way. I don't think I would have mind so much the quick ending. It's just the way that it came to and how it got there was the problem. I don't
In what
think
way?
it's so much about time. Huh?
In what way would you say?
I mean, like I said, them switching it up and her being a villain and her like them retconning stuff like, oh well, she wasn't really on those pills. It was like she was faking it the whole time. It was like, no, 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 no. We've seen scenes where she was break down crying, and we've seen scenes of her flashbacking to looking at Zende, thinking that it was RJ. So it's like, you're not gonna sit there and tell me, oh well, she had the best love making, since forever with Zende. And we know that we saw that scene where she looked at Zende and saw RJ's face. So stuff like that was the problem. So now that we got to this, the retcon and stuff like that, that was the problem. It wasn't so much like them doing it too fast, it's the way they went about it.
What do you think could have been a better reason for as to why she killed Bill? Like, if you had to give a different reason, a different explanation for Luna, what would have been yours, if you can think of one?
I mean, the whole thing was just sloppy from the beginning, Like even her into saying, "Well, we never had to sit, we always had to sit there and worry about our next meal and stuff." And I looked at that apartment, I was like, "Y'all not living exactly in the slums. Like, you had a boyfriend that was rich. He might not have been Bill Spencer rich, but he was rich. You weren't going to sit there and go without this or that or the third or anything like that. I mean, hell, you could even sat there and got pregnant by him or something like that if that was the goal as far as like being able to survive. No, you want to be greedy. You want to be greedy. You had a man that had money. So like the story was just sloppy from jump. So I don't know how I would even sat there and proved it because they just went about it in such a shitty way. Like there's
Yeah,
no other way to sit there and put it.
yeah, I think that too also happens. Like, she didn't want like Tom taken away from her life, but then she think the murders is gonna like draw attention. It's just a lot of things they didn't really plan out with this storyline with Luna. And I also feel like too at the same time with this Luna storyline, it's just kind of like I get that she wanted the life that Bill Spencer would give them, but it's like you were gonna try to romance him afterwards, but you already have a Forrester heir that you are romancing. You could have just focused on that. You had two Forrester men fighting over you. You could have taken your pick. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, were you? If it was about lifestyle, you could have just easily continued to shack up to RJ. I would have loved you. You could have lived in the Forrester mansion, and like you said, maybe RJ's not balling, but he got a little bit of Forrester money. He could take you out to eat. You won't be missing a meal with him. I promise. You know what I'm saying? So it didn't really make a lot of sense the whole storyline. And it's like, how could you even feel for Luna? Even when Luna had a tear when Steffi was asking for help. It it didn't feel like a twist because it didn't really feel like this is who Luna was written out to be. This really felt like the writers like, we need to come up, let's do a serial killer mystery. Well, who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be, guys? And like, let's do Luna. But it's like the reasoning was just not, it wasn't sharp enough for me. And when they brought Justin back as like he was a potential, they were panning around the room with the camera. Was who could it have been? Was it Lee? Was it him? Um, I just think that with Luna, like I said, they could have written her stronger. Um, and they could have let this play out a little bit more. And honestly, here's the thing with this: this is not a serial killer mystery. This is not. I don't know. B&B. I guess this is B&B's idea of one. It's not to me. It's only a serial killer mystery is if a major character gets killed. Someone belonging to the main family's on cast. We did not get that. They could have at least even killed off Hell Bridget Forrester. She's not even on. Y'all could have done that, or Felicia Forrester. Y'all could have. You had to kill somebody off that we care about for us to make this a mystery that we're invested in, and they didn't do that. So I didn't care about Tom Hollis. Like it didn't matter to me anything about that. Now, the hook on GH, we kind of cared because Brando was taken. If it wasn't for Brando, I don't know who was the other people that were killed by the hook.
There was Cabrero, Ryan Cabrera, I think that was his name. He got killed,
Who was?
and I well, Diane got attacked and Ava got attacked, but they didn't get killed.
Oh yeah, they didn't. So kind of
Yeah.
felt flat. Oh, Britt got killed. So two main characters got killed.
Oh yeah, Britt. Yeah, I forgot about Britt.
Britt
Yes.
and Brando. And Britt's death really hit the canvas. She was part of the Westbourne Albert clan. They don't even have a family name, but you know what I'm talking about. She
Yeah.
was tied to somebody on campus, and so was Brando. He was part of the Corinthos Corbin clan. You have to have a character from the main families get killed, and a character that we've had enough time to invest in. We've had enough time to invest in Britt, 10 years worth. That's enough time. Brando, we had a couple of years, but Britt was the biggest death of it all. She was the biggest death of it all, and it was impactful. But that's what made it impactful. Like when we had the necktie killer in Days of Our Lives, Paige Paige Donovan was killed, and Will Horton was killed. Those two deaths made it impactful, but Will's was the biggest of it all, where it was like, yo, did they just do that? And I don't know if you ever seen the scene to that storyline. You gotta go watch it when Ben strangled the life out of Will. One of the best scenes in daytime ever. One of the best scenes. Even for me, it's so dark I can't watch it that much. And that's that, and souls don't really write that good scene. Was like, oh my God, it was so dark, but it was. So for B&B to do this with Tom Hollis, who cares about Tom Hollis? It, if anything, they could have had Hope end up at least in the ER or in the hospital. At least Hope, somebody. You gotta kill off some. I'm okay. Let me ask you this: if they would have had to kill off somebody from the main canvas on B&B to make that storyline impactful for a serial killer mystery, who would you have picked? And explain why.
Probably Hope, because Brooke is too much of an icon on that show to sit there and kill off. So you got to sit there and kill off Hope. Um, I mean, I guess you could sit there and kill off Steffi, but I feel like Steffi is a stronger character than Hope. So it's
Yeah.
like you would have to sit there and kill off Hope. You couldn't even sit there and kill off Steffi.
Yes,
Um,
Steffi's too strong. Hope is like strong, but strong enough to be killed, make the impact. But we're not taking away an icon from the canvas either by killing her off.
I mean, hell, do you think they could sit there and kill off Deacon?
But I'd rather be a character that most people care about, and not just
Mm,
one character cares about them.
yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right. You're right.
Yeah,
You're absolutely right.
who's gonna come to Deacon's funeral? Sheila and maybe Finn to support his mom, and then Hope. That's it. Who else is coming? What else is coming? I think. So it's like I
Yeah,
would rather be Hope because it literally would have shocked. It would have impacted everybody.
yeah.
Everybody would have been there if it was Hope. So I would have preferred it had been Hope or hell Taylor. Taylor's barely on. That would have been sent a shockwave.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
what they could
you're
have done is
absolutely
like
right.
maybe Taylor wasn't the intended victim, but she died. But for that, here's the thing: in order for that to be impactful, you'd have to get the original Taylor back. And the reason why flashbacks. flashbacks. We need that real true blue history. You can't do that with a recast that just came on. You can't. That's I think that's the only reason that won't work. But I would say Hope, because Hope's been on long enough at this point, where it could have that impact. Or hell, Donna. Kill Donna. Donna's been on long enough. They doing that. Kill Donna.
Or Katie. People care more about Katie than Donna. Let's just be
Okay,
real.
you're right. You're right. Katie would have had more impact. Katie would have had more impact actually if it was. Yeah, it would have been more impactful if it was Katie, in a sense. So okay, you might have a point there. Because honestly, what they could have done is like I would have liked it, like I always thought B&B would ever do a serial killer mystery. They could do it with the four-star models being killed off, and maybe it's someone killing them off, and I don't know, maybe Zenday's biological uncle from Haiti comes onto the canvas or something, and we don't know that it's him. And yeah, I don't know, they could have done something. They could have done something out, but this it was a big disappointment. Now, you did see that scene that I'm talking about, right? Between Lee and Luna, and I was like, do they really just have to do that?
Oh, you mean the corny line or the body
There's
slam?
our power.
Yeah, that was. But see that was so. I don't know if they were trying to. Maybe I feel like they were trying to lean into like a meme or something like that.
I was
Like
like, okay,
somebody
Dragon Ball
probably
Z.
exactly because I felt like somebody probably saw that like on the message boards or something like that. It was like, okay, let's just sit there and play with the audience or whatever. So like they did that. Um,
It's our power.
that was probably the most cringe thing that I've seen so far all year. But on a side note, I will sit there and give Y&R a certain level of credit because they actually used a modern term that I haven't seen any other soap opera use. When they sat there, and I think it was Connor. Connor was sitting there talking to his parents. He was like, "No cap," and
Oh yeah.
Adam, yeah, exactly. Adam got it, and Chelsea was kind of confused, but Adam got it, and I was just like, wait. I had to rewind it a couple of times. I was like, they really just used no cap for a show that they call The Old and the Restless. I was like, I gotta give y'all props on that. I gotta give y'all props on that.
I said instead of Zao power. When I saw that, she's like, I'm out of here, Aunt Lee. Like Aunt Lee does not give a damn about Luna. It was clear. And so when Luna trying to run, the Zao power. And I was like, okay, Dragon Ball Z. Okay.
And just even going back into it, this is another thing, and we should probably do Y&R days next, but I will sit there and say that it didn't really make a lot of sense for Lee to start caring because when Lee was sitting there talking to Luna, Lee was like, "Yo, I don't want you to work at Foster Creation. Like, you're just as bad as your mom. Like, you could probably just be as much of a gold digger as your mom." But then throughout the series or towards the end, she was like, "Yeah, I really care about you, Luna." And even when she was sitting there talking to Finn, she was like, "Oh, I think you should really reach out to Luna." I'm like, you didn't want your son nowhere, not just near Poppy, but near Luna as well. So, like, where did all this concern for Luna come in from? Like, she didn't
Oh,
have that energy in the beginning. So it's like they just started they started doing things that just really did not make any sense. Like, it really didn't. But people felt like here's how I sit there and say before we move on to the next. I was like, they like Luna was fun before I got back into whatever nonsense that they're gonna do with love triangles and with Taylor and Brooke and Hope and Steffi and everything like that. And before they go back to that usual BS that no one generally likes, at least Luna was fun. It may not have made sense, but I think people have gotten used to B&B and them just trying to just struggle to whatever finish line that they're gonna sit there and do.
right, right. They give us two storylines a year, and then it's back to the love triangle stuff. That's like
Yeah.
they've reached their quota now at this point. Which I do want to ask you: you think there's a way forward for Poppy and Bill? Is there a way forward for the two?
Listen, if they could sit there and somehow find Sheila to be a waitress after all the bodies and everything like that she did, no, it is definitely possible for those two to actually. And it's funny too. I actually wrote that in my notes. Um, There's definitely a way for those two to move forward. Like, yeah, your daughter was kind of a lunatic, but we can sit there and make this work.
Like
We can
it's
do
got
it.
to be weird for Poppy because she thought this man was Luna's father at one point. She thought he was a paternity test. Luna kissed him. Now her daughter's in jail for framing her, and then she's gonna get with Bill. It's so warped in a sense, and because even I got admit soaps have been. I don't know if it's because all the food I've been eating lately, or just soaps have just been getting better with intensity in the writing. I don't know. Maybe it's a mixture of both. But I mean, I felt Luna's disorganization begin when she found Luke wasn't when she found Bill was not her father, because I thought and at that point I thought I thought that that was a surprise for her, and so to see her kiss him, I actually understood that response. I actually understood it. To me, that actually, as weird as that sounds, I thought that was kind of like a normally abnormal response.
Okay.
Okay, let me explain what I mean by that. It's because when you're in a feeling of disarray and contentment, because at that point I was like, okay, maybe she just wants to really feel close to Bill. She finds she's not his father anymore. She doesn't want to lose money, so she's kissing him and sexualizing him because she still wants to be close to him. Sometimes when you do that to people, like people can sometimes have dreams about people in a sexual way, even though they don't want them. But it's not that they want that person sexually; it just means they want to feel closer to them. That makes sense.
yeah, I guess. I mean, mentally, I can't get past that, but I can. Maybe this is from your psychology stuff that's why you're trying to connect that. I'm gonna be honest, I can't see that shit, but
Because this is why sometimes
I'm a,
people have really weird dreams about, like, people have been reported to have like sexual dreams about people they know or people they're close to or parents like that. It's not like they want to sleep with them, but it's just they want to feel a level of closeness, and the dream just finds a weird way of bringing it out. So I think with Luna, she wanted. That's what I thought initially. Obviously now I know that was not the case. I thought that she wanted to feel closeness with Bill. She wanted to lose him. So she's like, maybe she's seen her mom. That's how her mom got things from men. Like, I'm gonna keep you around by sleeping with you, and giving you that good. And she's like, I'm gonna do the same with Bill Spencer.
that's a string theory. Okay, that's all I'm gonna sit there and say about that. Um, Now going into
Days of our lives.
days of our lives,
Oh,
what
sorry,
what are
we
your
don't
what
keep
are
talking.
yeah, I was about to sit there and say that some people are still sitting there whining and complaining about that, surprisingly. Um,
It's 199,
but going
guys.
at $4.99 for the rest of us.
Oh, if you
Um,
cancel, they put it back to 199. That's what I did.
hey, listen, that's a hack right there. That's a hack right there.
Go ahead.
Um, so Friday, just going into Fridays, Fiona trying to kill um
Sarah.
Sarah. And I'm just like, what are you doing? Boo. You have a house full of people. You're the last person to sit there and hang out with Sarah, and you're just gonna sit there and try to kill her? That makes sense. You got people downstairs, and you're just gonna sit there and try to kill her. That makes sense. Like, what are we doing at this point?
Days. Let's talk about the storyline of Days. Days has actually been telling storylines in a great way, decently. Gabby and EJ, I don't even like. I just there's nothing that feels soapy about that to me. I'm not interested in it. I'm still trying to warm to the fact that this Gabby's a recast. I still have not gotten over that aspect as of just yet. That and Abigail, great value. I'm still trying to. Well, she's a beautiful woman, but it's just not Abigail. These two storylines, I'm still trying to work my way around them. But when it comes to Xander's mom on Days, man, Xander is like really on his witch hunt from Brady, and Brady has confessed. Brady is a good man. That's a thing that Xander doesn't understand. Xander is very impulsive. He wants Brady to be punished and everybody to hate him. And it's like, bro, you have done way worse than Brady. I'm gonna need you to calm down. Like it's almost like Rick from GH. I'm gonna need you to calm down. Like, and if Sarah is willing to forgive Brady, like Sarah's very forgiving of Brady, almost in a sense. If she could forgive Brady, what does that tell you about this man's character? You know what I'm saying? What does that tell you? And we're seeing this storyline finally bring up the whole Daniel Jones being ran over by Eric, which this storyline is very weird to be playing out without Nicole there. Very weird.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very weird. Thoughts?
Yeah. Like even when Xander was they coming at Justin for representing Brady, I'm like, do you not remember that you kidnapped Bonnie?
Mhm.
Are you just gonna sit there and act like you didn't do that? Like you didn't want any sort of support from the family and stuff like that? But yet you're coming at Justin for simply for being a lawyer and doing his job when when you not that long ago you kidnapped his wife? Like
Period.
seriously? And what was the other thing that you sat there and said? It was something else that you said.
Was it about Daniel Jonas?
Yes, and yeah, and that's another thing. It would have been so much more impactful for Nicole to actually be there on the show. Um, and on that note, I blame I blame the people behind the scenes because they could have did something about that a long time ago. There was reports about that with other people, and they chose not to do anything for such a long time to a point where she got to a point where she was like, you know what, I'm done, I'm out, I'm suing and everything, and it didn't need to get that far. So I blame, the behind the scenes, the bosses and stuff like that for this lack of storytelling that we have now because it shouldn't have never went that far.
I wish it was the numbers lie because I really want to say something about that. Um, I'm gonna just say it. I totally get that, but like, didn't I just see the media that she embraced one of our presidential candidates, the same one that she said had sexually harassed her years ago?
Oh, wow.
So this is, I'm not calling it into question. I'm not saying things didn't happen, but that's just a very, I thought it was a very interesting stance to take.
What do you, okay. You might want to go into more detail because I'm not really too sure. And I don't want to sit there and say something. Explain more.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, from what I know, she had basically said that I think she said that she didn't see it the way other people seen it, the debacle, um, something along the lines of that. She kind of just felt like the media made, I wouldn't even say like a big deal about it, but just like almost kind of like saying like, I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there because maybe I don't have all the details. I could be misspeaking. I know somebody's gonna come from the comments. Let's move on.
But I mean, the point is that like, she's not there and also it's just kind of stupid because isn't she like what 19 or something like that right now? So at some point you would think, well, Eric coming back and being like, well, I got to sit there and tell Holly. It was like, Holly's 19. When would you plan on telling her? I don't understand. Like,
My thing is, Holly
it,
never
it
looked this
shouldn't.
up the whole time.
Well, I
Just only
mean,
looked
from
it up
what she
now this
said,
past Friday.
yeah, but from what she said that they told her a story and she believed it. So because she believed that story, she never had a reason to sit there and look it up. I think the thing is more. It's 19 years. You should have told her at some point, years before, not days, not months, years before. It's not like this chick just magically turned 19. Like y'all had years to do this. The fact that either one of them was sitting there saying, well, I get, I think it's time to sit there. We were waiting for the right moment. And then just from storyline purposes, so you're just gonna have Eric sit there and tell him, where's Mom Dukes at? Why is Mom not there to sit there and be like, yeah, I'm sorry for lying to you for so long. Like she's not even there because and they talked about this, but you're just gonna let him do this by himself and you not there? Like none of that makes any sense. That's an in-person conversation. None of that makes any sense.
Nicole should be there and Chloe. Nicole and Chloe should be there. I mean, the very least, they could have had at least Chloe there, but they both left because of the allegation. By the way, I take back the Trump thing. I was actually wrong. I was talking about somebody else. Wrong show. Anyways, but I would say that with Chloe and Nicole, one of them should be there. for that storyline. At least they could have Chloe, but they can't even have Chloe either. It's just weird to tell the storyline without Nicole there, because Nicole is the one that should really get the backlash. Eric is not her father. We have like there's a little more of an expectation of Nicole in this aspect than there is Eric, in a sense. And so I think that should have been like the thing they should have thought about more so.
Yeah, it's definitely off. So I know that you said that you can really wrap your head around this whole thing, but I remember I did agree with you that Gabby is doing too much because this
Mhm.
man did. For me personally, I do feel like cheating is unforgivable, and if you want to leave him, that's fine. But you're doing way more than that, though. Like now, you are talking about taking his money. You want to sit there and cheat back to hurt him, and I'm like, when Stefan cheated, he didn't do it with the intentions of hurting you. It was stupid and it was wrong, but it was never with the intentions of hurting you. You are going out your way to do that to hurt him. So it's like, yeah, y'all both bad, but somehow, Gabby, you are worse for what you're doing. You know?
But why is the cheating unforgivable? Because I feel like in the context, just in the context when Stefan did it, I feel like it could be forgiven. I would have forgiven him if I was Gabby.
I couldn't do it. Like just me, my own personal self. Like I
Ego,
couldn't sit there and forgive it.
ego.
It could be ego. It could be trust. It could be a lot of things. You just sit there and say, "Well, I did it because it was an accident. It was a mistake." It's like you're insulting my intelligence. The
So if you're
reasons don't matter. You
so it
did
doesn't
it.
matter how long you've been with the person, you're out the door.
Yep.
So 50
You're out
years
the door
in,
and you
you're
get
out
it.
the door.
Yep. And you're being treated like dirt.
Are you sure about that?
Absolutely. One
Are you
hundred and twenty
sure
percent.
about that statement is made?
120%.
So let me present to the court evidence here in your Days of Our Lives video regarding Craig and Nancy. So
Hold on, hold on. You're you're
Nancy
you're
cheats
you're
on
breaking
Eric.
up. Breaking up. Hold on. Try it again.
Oh,
Breaking up.
whoops! Can you hear me
You're
now?
breaking up.
Whoa, I am breaking up.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. I am breaking up.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a second here. I am. Give me 1 minute. Oh no! Don't tell me it's going out. Okay, hold on a second.
Just a little technical difficulties. I'm very curious about what um what evidence is he gonna sit there and break. Again, just before he gets back, for me, it's just non-forgivable sin. Like the trust is broken. I don't care if we're 50, 60 something years in. I'm leaving you. Like we're done. There's no exception. Oh, it was a mistake. It was a one-time thing. I was drunk. All that stuff just revolves around you. The only exception that I would ever sit there and make is if you were R word, right? You were R word. That's the exception that I would sit there and make because that is beyond your control. But anything else, I feel like, nah. Um, I know that he. Hold on, just looking because I'm doing this on my phone right now because I'm going to be doing a members live stream and I want to make sure I have enough battery power. So it's going to be interesting. I have to see how we're going to do this. I don't know if we're going to have to break this up into part ones and part twos. So and this was really not a good idea to do this on my phone because at least I can actually pause stuff. Okay, hold on. He is back. Mm,
And am I back in now?
yeah, you're back and now you good.
Oh my god! I thought the internet, my place went out again. I was like, not again, jeez! Like it was, it went out like two in a row. He's like, no, sir, sorry, we cannot help you, sir. The internet outage will for a very long time, sir. We cannot help you. And I was like, so let's come back on. We do not, sir. So, sir, we cannot give any false information. I was like, okay, detective. It's not going out, thank God. I think it was because I had another browser open. But can you hear me perfectly, by the way?
Yeah, no, you
And
good.
it's still
You good.
recording. Praise God. It's still recording. So what I was saying, I presented the court evidence here. Since you said that someone cheated on you after 40, 50 years, you're out the door. But let me present to the court here in your days of lives review regarding Craig and Nancy. When when Nancy came to the Brady platform, she said, I believe he's cheating on me. You said specifically in that days of lives review, that day that she came running to the Brady pub, well, if it's you've been together for like 40 years or so, I mean, like, are you really gonna leave? At that point, might as well just stick it out. You not remember those words?
Yeah, I do. Well, I changed my mind, so there you go. But that's yeah.
Because you know the thing is like Gavin Steffi has done a lot of stuff for Gabby, and my thing is I believe couples these days have to learn how to endure. I believe that nowadays people don't know how to endure anymore. You do one thing wrong, you get the birthday, you do the toilet seat up, they're out the door. Like I feel like they need to know how to endure. And literally, he went through so many things for Gabby. Honestly, she should show a little gratitude. She could be pissed and angry, but taping half of the mirror house, half of the couch, student EJ, it's childish. It's mad childish when you think about all the stuff he went through for her.
Yes, and okay, so here's the thing, and I agree with that. I agree that couples don't stick it out like they used to because a lot of times they feel like the grass is greener on the other side, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
also believe that everyone has a certain have limits,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like there's such a thing as enduring, but then there's also such a thing as what you deserve, right? So at some point, how much is enough? That comes down to that person's value. So while I do agree with you about not just turning cold and running, everyone has a certain level of limitations and certain things that they may or may not get past. That's just being human. And yeah, it may come from the most pettiest things as far as leaving the toilet seat up, which is really stupid. But okay, to something more serious as far as cheating.
But wouldn't
Everyone
you
has
want
a
to
certain
go ahead, go ahead.
yeah. No. What you gonna sit there and say?
No, go ahead, go ahead.
It depends on the person.
But my thing is, okay, if you were to have an indiscretion such as being unfaithful, and it was a like in Stefan's situation, wouldn't you want forgiveness? And forgiveness in the sense of the person forgiving you and staying with you.
Yeah, I mean, I would want that, but I would also sit there and expect like maybe that person can. I would have to accept that. I would have to go into that conversation. No, you know what? This may not turn out the way I wanted to.
Have you ever well, has there been a time where you feel like you have been subject to such discretions and you've been given forgiveness? You don't disclose if you don't want to.
No, I mean, I've no,
So you never granted forgiveness for such things.
no,
Oh, is that why? Is that part of your reason why you think you'll never forgive someone yourself? Because like, hey, I'm never giving it, so I'm not giving it back either.
no. I mean, I've never actually been. I mean, even when I was, I was just kind of more of a scumbag for not saying anything. I would sit there and say that much, and yeah, that does actually make me a scumbag. Like, there's no other way to sit there and put it.
A scumbag
But
or a man who is
again,
afraid to face his truth.
isn't that what the definition of a scumbag is?
What about a man who's afraid to face what he feels?
You mean more just afraid of what you're gonna lose?
That part. A man who's afraid of what he's gonna lose. How about that instead of
Yeah,
a scumbag?
but that still just comes down to being a scumbag, though, right? Because you're being a coward, and you're being a coward, and what you're also doing is you're taking that person's choice away from them by not saying anything.
Fair enough.
You're
Fair
basically
enough.
sitting there saying that you don't have faith in them to sit there and make a decision or have them make the decision. So you're going to make the decision for them by not saying anything.
Okay, right. Someone to Adam and Sally, understandable. But I think, like, because I understand, I don't know how I would react in the situation if I knew I was being cheated on. Um, I would like to think. I mean, it depends on the who, what, when, where, why. So every time I'm in a relationship, people ask me, will always ask me my views on cheating. I always say I would not stay. Well, the truth is, it depends. But you want to say yes, and you open up that door for them to say, well, you know what? Maybe there's a chance you can forgive me. So let me go ahead and dive right on into what I'm about to get into here. You know what I'm saying? But I
And
think, go ahead.
no, no, what was you going to say?
No,
No, no, no, because we're going to, I want to talk about the Y and R real quick. So what was you going to say?
I forgot. Go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, just going into Y and R again with the whole cheating thing. Like, one of the things that made Adam a scumbag was the fact that, he didn't even give her the choice of being like, hey, listen, I may want to stay with you, I may not want to stay with you, but you could have been honest. You took that choice away and you did that for a selfish reason because you didn't want to lose her. You made that about yourself instead of giving her the choice to decide if she wants you there in her life or not. On top of the fact that, again, you cheated. The circumstances or whatever, oh, I was at my lowest point, oh, we had a couple of drinks. You're a grown ass adult. Like, we're not going to sit there and act like there's no responsibility. You didn't just sit there and magically slip and she just slipped and slipped on your joystick or anything like that. That's an accident right there. That didn't happen. So, when people sit there and say it was an accident, it wasn't an accident, it was a choice. And you're insulting somebody's intelligence and insulting them every time you sit there and say it was an accident or it was a mistake.
Yeah, I think what
I
Adam
make a
was.
mistake when I step on somebody's shoes. That's a mistake.
I agree with you on Adam because Chelsea told the truth. And I thought that's why I thought Chelsea's such a genuine character. She has learned from her ways in the past. She's really, I think Billy should definitely forgive her and they should move forward because Chelsea's such a genuine character. Like, I felt the genuine nature from her. Every time I see her on the screen, I feel like she's a genuine character. I don't listen to the way Melissa Claire Egan just plays the role, but I feel like her and Sharon are just the most genuine people in all of Genuine City and Mariah. And I feel like they have no agendas from the way they operate. And so I feel like Chelsea should be forgiven because honestly, she was very honest with Billy. And she loves that man. And honestly, Billy would be a better man to her than Adam ever could be. Because Adam still kept lying this out even after Billy came to expose the truth. And even the way she apologized to Chelsea in the park, that felt genuine. It felt genuine. Where did you see Adam apologize to Billy? Nope. And the thing about that is, and Adam killed Billy's daughter. I feel there should be more respect. I feel like when he's in Billy's presence, Billy just and this is another thing I got to talk about. Lionheart on the subject. Okay, first let me get your thoughts on that. I'm gonna go into that thing that's in
No, 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 no. Go into that because I already kind of covered the whole. I mean, with Billy, that's a choice. If he wants to sit there and do it, he can. Some people can't. You know my stance on it, so it is what it is. Um, but no, what's your thoughts of that you was gonna sit there and say?
Reinhardt. I saw Billy and Victor have a scene, and Billy's like, "Oh, you are a silver spoon kid in your mouth. You're gonna screw everything up." This narrative they've been pushing for years about Billy, I have just never been able to accept it for some reason. I can't see Billy as a screw up, and I don't know if it's because, especially with Jason Thompson, the role, Jason Thompson comes off as a very serious person to me that I can't see Billy as a screw up person. You know
My
what I mean?
my thing my thing with Billy, and I think I saw it this week, is that Billy could be a great person when he's not his own way. Right? He could be a great person when he's not in his own way. And I feel like that's just how it is with a lot of people. Sometimes we don't, you know, certain things that we don't achieve or something that we may not, get to is because, granted, there's other factors, but sometimes it's because we get in our own way. We can see that with Billy, when Billy wasn't answering his phone and stuff like that because he fired Lily and stuff like that. and he wanted to spend time with his daughter, and she was getting upset because she's like, "Yo, listen, like if you don't have time for me, whatever." But then when he took the time, he gave her some great advice and just showed like he could be a great person when he's not getting his own way.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like to me, Billy has never been a spoon. He's never been a silver spoon. Like I've never seen Billy that way. And it's like Weinar has been trying to push this narrative for years, and I can't accept it. It's kind of like how they try to push Sonny on us on General Hospital, like the beacon of all moral hope. Man, like the dark man with the dark side, but the beacon of hope for town. I've never been able to accept that. I've never drank anything like Kool Aid, like the rest of GH viewers, and it's the same with Weinar because of Billy. I see him as honestly a thoughtful businessman. I don't see him as a screw, but everybody else sees him as. And they keep pushing this. And like I said, it's probably because Jason Thompson in the role. Because Jason Thompson, to me, I still see elements of Patrick Drake. The parts of Patrick Drake that would ream Sonny and Jason, and was very more of a high moral character in GH. I still see that man sometimes. I look at his Billy. So it's hard for me to see Billy that way. And I just feel like Adam killed his daughter. Adam should have way more respect for Billy when he's in his presence. Like you see how like Daniel doesn't necessarily tremble when he sees Sharon, but he knows he has to come with a respect. Like you saw, like when they were having the scene about Lucy, Heather was coming in guns a blazing because Heather didn't run over Sharon's daughter. Well, she's not real on Sharon's daughter that Daniel is. So Daniel knew he had a Kali Mate, as they say in Spanish. You know, he had to really come in with a certain type of tone. And that's the thing I wish I would see from Adam when he's dealing with Billy, which we don't see. And that bothers me.
Yeah. And yes, in the beginning I did sit there and see that, but then see that's one of the things I did like about Heather because Heather was like, "Listen, we acknowledge that Lucy messed up and stuff like that. We're giving her punishment, but let's not sit there and try to act like we're gonna sit there and put our daughter in chains and stuff like that. You might want to sit there and kind of calm down a little bit." I love the fact that she pushed back and how after a while Daniel was like, "Yo, listen, we gave her a punishment that's appropriate, and that's what we're gonna do. And if it's not enough for you, oh well, pretty much." Um, but I love that scene because I saw both sides of it. You know, while Heather sat there and said, listen, our daughter made a mistake. Your daughter made a mistake that could have put her daughter in the ground. So to sit there and say it's a mistake, like that would sit there and like minimize what the damage that could have been done. I can see where Sharon was kind of pissed off, even without her, even if she was on her meds I can see her being like really angry just about that statement alone.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, and that's the thing too. Like, I feel like when Daniel said the Sharon, and that's the way it is. I was just like, okay, sir, do the damn thing. Okay, I was like, do the damn thing. I was like, you tell her, even though it is Sharon. Like, damn, you tell her because Sharon really came in guns a blazing, and I was just like, and I get it, what could have happened. I get the stuff with Cassie, but at the same time, like, Sharon has to understand that these are kids. They really can't control them. And at the same time, I'm happy the way they handle that because Lucy is their daughter, and they try to be very sensitive to Sharon. And now here's the thing: like Daniel, he came with the quickness, but Heather was one guns ablaze from the beginning, and I appreciate Daniel having that sensitivity. And it's so weird because when I first started watching the show, Michael Grazia Day was like maybe I don't know, like maybe 23 or so at the time. He was a really young Daniel. So now seeing him the dad is so weird. I think I'm going up with him now in a sense, but it's like to me, and I'm really happy they finally touched on this storyline. And I still have yet to see Daniel and Mariah have a scene together. Don't know why we still, even with this going on, we still have yet to do that because that should have been established the first time Daniel came back to town. But we're doing it now, so I'm going to give the writers a pass on this. But I mean, I understand where they're coming from, and I like that Summer told the truth and was just like, you need to be harder on Lucy. And at first, I didn't see it, but then when I started to see how Lucy was acting like a spoiled brat afterwards, I was okay. Now I kind of see what Summer was talking about. Now I gotta get it. I gotta get it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Now I said this in my review on YNR with Devon. One of the things I like about Devon, I know a lot of people don't like Devon. One of the things I like about Devon is that he keeps it 100%, right?
Devon
And
is
I'm
young.
gonna Yeah. There's a scene, and I'm gonna spoil a little bit because it needs to sit there and say in context. And he did this twice. Audra walks up, and Audra Smith, they try to be nice to both of them. And Devon's just like, yeah, I mean, she's like, well, we should be civil and stuff like that. And he's kind of just like, why? Like, you try to sit there and take over my company. You said some really nasty stuff to me, and you think that we're just going to just be cool just because you and Nate are sitting there banging? Like, no, I didn't like you before. I don't like you now. I'm not going to sit there and fake the funk. And he did that again with Billy when Abby was like, oh, why don't you sit there and invite Billy? And he was like, no, I'm not going to break bread with this person. Now I know people could sit there and be like, oh, well, he's being an asshole. The thing is, people want truth. People want people to be honest, but up to a point.
That's
They
true.
want honesty, but they don't want to sit there and actually be honest because maybe it will come across as bad to society. And it's like in reality, he was being civil because he could have sat there and cursed her ass out. He could have sat there and be like, "Yo, get the step and get up out of my goddamn face." He didn't do that. He wasn't being disrespectful. He's just not going to sit there and play nice when he doesn't like someone. So I can respect that.
Nate did the same thing with Victor when Victor was in society. He's like, Nate, what's it on, Nate? Let's have a chat. And they were just like, how about we don't have a chat? Like, how about we don't? He was like, there's no need for us to talk, Victor. Like, we don't really have no business. He's like, Nate, I disagree, Nate. So now let's talk, okay? Have a chat. And I'm like, I was so proud of Nate for just like, we don't have nothing to talk about. I don't remember, I don't think he did sit down, right? If I'm not mistaken, or did he?
No, he did.
Yeah,
At the
he
why
did.
he did sit down. Yeah.
He did. But I was happy that he at least asserted that stance at first with Victor because it's like you don't have any business to talk about. Like, wait, what did Victor talk to him about? Wasn't Victor trying to recruit him or something?
No, he was trying to get Nate to get back Lily into the family business. Because in all reality, Victor's gonna sit there and screw over Lily. Um, when when Lily helps him take Chancellor, because she's sitting there thinking she's gonna get her position back, and Victor's sitting there lying to her, knowing that Nikki's gonna get her job. And Lily is kind of dumb because it's like she keeps playing the, well, me and my dad, my dad will be really proud that, we two are working together. As some sort of guilt trip to sit there and remind him, don't screw over your friend's daughter. But Victor is Victor. He's the devil. He's going to sit there and do it anyway. And he's just going to call it, it's just another Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing too. I feel like the scene with Lily and Nikki, I loved it because I love the idea of the running Chancellor. I love the idea of it because honestly, at this point, I don't even consider Chancellor Billy's company anymore. It's Nikki's now. At this point, it's only a matter of time. It's a matter of time for it to get on paper. It's Nikki's company. Because the thing about it is that I understand it being called Chancellor Abbott because in a way Billy kind of is a chancellor. He thought of like almost half the show. He thought of Catherine as his grandmother. He thought Catherine was his grandmother for a long time, and technically, in a sense, if you want to be real, Chance is the really only biological chancellor because Catherine was only a chancellor by marriage, and Chance, Philip Chancellor the Fourth, is the only biological chancellor on the show. If you want to be real, Devon is not a chancellor either. Like he kind of is, but by Catherine, but he's not biologically a chancellor. He's not in the chancellor bloodline. Chance is the one that's in the chancellor bloodline, in a sense. So if there's no one that should be running Chancellor Industries, it should be Chance. And it makes sense as why he's
Yeah.
there. They're positioning him for that, because he is Philip's son. So they're positioning Chance for that. But that's the only thing that kind of, to me, makes the most sense. Because the thing about the Chancellor Industries, in a sense, if Chance wasn't on, it'd really be named after somebody who's not even there anymore. I mean, Tucker's not even running that, you know? So whenever they say, "Oh, Devon is a chancellor," he's technically not a chancellor. He's whatever Catherine's maiden name was, which I don't know. I'm sure they revealed it once in the show, but she was married to a chancellor in a sense. So I mean, I think the company could do well in Nikki's hands, and I got a feeling they're doing something here with the storyline. Something I hope it's something bigger than just simply Nikki running the show because they bring out these letters from Catherine. Catherine was such a rich character on the show, not even just in wealth, but the way she was written that even after her character dies, there's still stories that can be told. It's the same with Stefano de Miranda's. His character was so larger than life that people were still being told stories about Stefano, and still more stories are still unfolding, even though he's gone. That's connected to his character, and that's not easy to do on a soap. But you really have had to have written the character in a certain type of way for that type of legacy to continue.
Hmm. Now, yes. Now, one of the other things I want to sit there and say, but I've noticed a parallel, right? So Spencer was tolerable when he was with Trina, and would you sit there and say on some level maybe Kyle is more tolerable with Claire because he's not so much as a entitled prick or whatever when he's with Claire. There's a different side to him. He's not as annoying. And I don't know, that's just so weird that it's like you have to sit there and have a love interest to sit there and make you more of a tolerable person for us to sit there and listen and watch you on the show.
See, I don't trust Claire, so I don't know that he's become more tolerable to me, I still see right through Claire personally. I don't trust her. The whole like my whole life was wrong for me, but I'm sitting up for myself. And like, Summer, I'm not the enemy here. I'm really your friend. Really, the same friend of kid out the whole family. I feel like there's something about Claire I don't trust because I feel like Claire acts way too naive in what she actually is. And I'm kind of like bothered by that. Like you lose how the whole family hostage this. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
your cable. Let's not act like it's like she's in her late 20s to 30s, but she's acting like she's 15. Sometimes I
yeah.
think, and it gets on my nerves. So I don't trust Claire. And honestly, she doesn't make Kyle that much more tolerable to me. Honestly, it's when he's in Summer's presence I can tolerate him a little more, in a
I
sense.
guess so. Yeah, he's more boring with Summer, but he's not as much as a prick. So, okay, I can
So
say that.
do you tolerate? I'm guessing so. Then you tolerate him more when he's in Claire's presence.
Yeah,
And I think it was the same with Spencer. Spencer wasn't really a character on GH that I cared for. He was good. He was a good character. That's about it. Like there's nothing else, but like there was no depth to him. GL was a better character, but I don't know what's going on with this GL character. I don't know. I don't know how Uncle Sonny is his uncle, and he's like, I don't know the cues that well, but you're living with them. Don't you love what like it's so his history doesn't his history is kind of all over the place, and I felt like it wasn't. I don't know why they couldn't have just made him Lois's nephew. They made him somebody down the street who knew Lewis. And Lois knew his cousin's mom's aunt, uncle's hair barber, stylist. This person. Like, you know what I'm saying? We don't even really know how Gio was really connected to his family. It's like
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like all over the place. You know what I'm saying?
It is
So,
very loose. Maybe they did that on purpose, and
right.
in case they want to sit there and do something down the line, and he's somebody's love child or something like that. Because yeah, it is very sloppy. Um, for a show that's been on for 60 something years, you would expect a little bit of a more cohesive backstory, but maybe they did that on purpose. That's the only thing I could sit there and say that would be their saving grace.
I mean, they
Hopefully,
did the same thing with Dusty Donovan as well turns, and the same thing with Langston Hughes. Langston Hughes. Sorry, Langston Wild. That's Langston Hughes. That's a novelist. But Langston Wild, and One Like to Live, where their backstories are very vague, and then Dusty became adopted by what is it, John something as well turns, and then Langston was adopted by Dorian on One Like to Live. So they made it loose like that for a little bit of reasons. Um, but I feel like in a sense that looking at it, like for me, that that's probably what made the characters more tolerable. And with Kyle is a spoiled brat for sure. Like Jack literally came to the living room and said, "I'm sorry, Kyle. What can I do for you?" Jack is the best father on YNR, hands down. He's the best soul father. Let's be for real. Jack is a good man. Jack is a good-hearted man. I trust Jack. I'd rather be an advocate than doing him any day of the week because Jack ain't doing that toxic stuff. Jack is not doing that toxic stuff with his kid. Well, I mean, he doesn't have enough kids to do toxic stuff with. Let's keep it real. He has one child, you
Yeah.
know. But Jack is so understanding for Kyle, and Kyle is like so in his own world. So when Jack can apologize, he's like, Kyle, I am sorry. We can fix this. If that was Victor, Victor would be like, really, Kyle? Kyle, to tell you the truth, I don't really give a damn what you think. Okay? That's my rules. If you don't like it, you can get out.
Pretty much, yeah. And then the sad thing is that he was like, I'll take some responsibility. He was like, some responsibility. I'm just like, Broham, what like but again, that is the definition of how entitled he is. Because in all reality, I was like, bro, you don't want to screw it up. If you was in any other company and you did that, you would have been fired. If it wasn't for your last name, you would have been gone. But he keeps with this narrative, and granted, he did sit there and say it's a little bit of um pride and everything like that. But I'm like, it's not just pride. What you don't want to admit is that there's a level of entitlement. You don't want to admit that, but yet you keep sitting there talking about my birthright this, my birthright that. So it's like, bro, you're sitting there saying this without actually owning it, which just also makes you even more of a shittier character. But
And that's the thing too. I see more entitlement in Kyle than I ever saw in Billy Abbott.
yeah,
Because this narrative that Weiner is going with, that Billy is a screw and he screws up everything in his path. I don't know. Like I just can't buy that narrative. I see it with Kyle. I can definitely see that entitlement with Kyle. I don't see it in Billy. I don't. I really, honestly, to God, do not see that entitlement thing in Billy, but I see it in Kyle for sure. And Jack is such an understanding parent. And honestly, maybe him and Diane need to let Kyle go because Kyle wants to keep acting stupid. Let him. And then Claire was like, Kyle, we can still be friends. Kyle, like, Kyle, like, I gotta take back my power too, because I've been silenced for so long. Like, I want Claire to like start with a new script at this point because it's the same topics. It's like she has to keep referencing the Aunt Jordan thing, and it's like, do you have anything else to talk about? you know, you share with the class. So it's just like I wish I would like to see that more clear, but for me, like I said with Kyle, I see that entitlement nature with him. And you're right. Like with Spencer Trina, we did tolerate Spencer because of that. Because Spencer was a jerk on GH. He was a total jerk. I mean, I think right now the character Nicholas to me feels done. Once TC died, I feel like that character is now done. Even though technically Nicholas is still alive, I feel that character is done for me. It's just done. I don't know if you feel the same way.
no. I mean, I just don't. I was never really married to any particular person that played Nicholas. As long as he did a good job, exactly. Seriously, it's just as long as they did a good job. Which I felt like they all did. So I was happy. Listen, did they get that guy to come back and play Nicholas again? Like I'd be cool with it. You know, I'm not. It's. I guess because I don't really care that much about the Nicholas character. Be like, oh my god, this, that, and the third. It's like, yeah, he's on the show. It's
Same.
cool.
The thing is, it does feel a little weird because I'm used to doing TC. Now, I'm not married, as you said, to TC. As I'm not a diehard. I do like Adam Huss. I do. Um, it just feels weird knowing that TC died. I think he probably wanted to come back to the role, but unfortunately, stuff that was happening. And like I said, the whole Lucky and Lulu thing. I don't care for Lulu coming back. I don't care for Lulu. I don't care for Dante. I don't care for Lucky. I'm more concerned about the John Doe. I don't care for Lucky at all. And it's Lucky and Holly. I don't care about them. I don't know what it is. I really don't care for these two characters, right? At all. Like, pardon me, like I said, I'm more interested in the John Doe. I'm more interested in Brick and Jordan and their date and seeing where that can go. I was more interested in that than to see what's going on with Lucky. But I'm not interested. I'm not invested in it. Like, there's certain storylines of souls I'm not invested in that. Now, Sunny and this whole storyline with John Cates, I'm invested in it because now it's taking on another layer. And we're seeing the different layers that came from the storyline. We see Rick coming back, possibly defending Ava, you know, turning Alexis in for the gun, the police station. We're seeing these different layers from this one storyline, and we're still navigating Christina's grief. I still feel for Christina. I feel my heart really goes out to her and TJ Molly. And I understand TJ's disgust with Christina too. I get it. I'd be disgusted with her too. I told him because when he was just like, she's like, I can't breathe. He's like, all right, mother, I'm a doctor. Can you breathe? Yeah, I can breathe. Okay, you can breathe. All right, cool, we out.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's like TJ like, and then TJ let her like you disgust me. Like you're out here crying when you know you caused baby's death. Because technically, low key, she did. But I still feel Christina's pain. I feel for her because it's a trauma. She carried that baby inside of her, and you know, she proved everybody right of being impulsive, of just needing something to do. I don't trust somebody that doesn't have nothing to do. I don't trust that kind of a person. I would not even date that kind of a person. Like if you don't have nothing to do outside of work, I don't trust you.
Mm.
Not like in a bad way, like I think you're gonna kill somebody or stab somebody, but the problem is when you don't have nothing to do outside of work, usually you will hyper focus on either the person you're dating with, but not even that. You're always looking for like stimulation because you don't have, or you haven't built your life around things to keep you stimulated.
Yeah, well, there's a saying too, like idle hands is the devil's instrument.
Right, right. Is that what they call
So
it? That's what, like that quote changes with everybody. Some people say
I
devil's
I think
playground.
I I think that's what it is, or something along those lines. But I mean, it's true though. You don't have nothing to do. You're going to sit there and get into something that you probably shouldn't be doing, or you're going to be too attached to somebody that you probably should. That if you were busy doing other stuff, you wouldn't be as attached. So yeah, no, I get that. I think that's the quote or something like that.
And the thing is too, Blaze just left with the quickness. Like Blaze can't even call. Like Christina just lost a window. Well, we got this record deal. See you later, boo. Like, well, the timing of that just felt so weird in so many ways. Like, I wish Blaze could have stayed on for at least a little longer than just a week. Like, she lives down for a couple of days. Like, yeah, I gotta go. I got a record deal. It was so quick. I honestly thought her and Blaze were gonna be a long time stable on GH. I thought they were building them to that point. Guess not.
Well, I think that see, unfortunately, I feel like it might be one of those things that would have happened, stuff that would have wound up happening behind the scenes and stuff like that. Because yeah, her departure is just fast.
Quick, quick.
And then they don't talk about it. And usually, when they don't even sit there and talk about it, a character at some point, there may be more behind the scenes than what goes on. Um,
Yeah, yeah. You know what made
and
me think of
so
when? Okay.
no, no, but that's what I was gonna sit there and say.
What that just made me think of was when Catherine and Lily were sitting together at the coffee shop, and with Catherine's letter, and like I'm thinking to myself, like Drusilla hated Nikki. She hated Nikki with a passion. Like if Lily was going into business with Nikki, Drusilla would have been like, "Don't trust that lady. That lady will wreck your life." Drusilla would have said something like that, and it was just like, just I was thinking of how like Drusilla is never mentioned on this on YNR, never mentioned. It's because of all behind the scenes stuff. So that's what I was
Yeah,
thinking when you said like they never mentioned Drusilla, only Neo, and that's it. They never mentioned Drusilla, and so because Blaze has never been mentioned since, it's almost like she never came on the show. Like I literally forgot about her already,
yeah,
and
you forgot about it because it seemed yeah, exactly, and I think that's probably because the show, in a sense, kind of wants you to forget about her.
they want you to. They try not to bring her up. I mean, the storyline now with Christina and John Cates, I totally hear it. I would like to. I got a feeling that this TJ Molly thing maybe could drive TJ into the arms of another woman, or maybe they could really plan it out. You know, TJ's a very mature man, and he's a good man, and I think that they actually do have the potential to still work through this because of they're very emotional, intelligent people. Now, if he was dating somebody like now, if it was TJ and he was in a relationship with Christina and she lost a baby, Christina's too erratic. Christina is like the Billy Abbott, I guess, the Billy Abbott of GH. She's the Billy Abbott
Yeah,
of GH in a sense, technically. And for me, like I feel their hurt. I feel their hurt on both sides. I really do. And I'd like to see Rick and Sonny have a scene already. I'm like, what is this happening? Why are they having their scene?
the fact that it hasn't happened yet is weird, but it's gonna happen though. And see, this is another thing. Sometimes you can tell what stuff happens behind the scenes with two particular actors, like Jackson, Alexis. Alexis went to jail. Jax was nowhere to be found. Like he couldn't sit there and go there a couple of times and see her and stuff like that. You didn't see her once. No, but that's because of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. So it's the same thing. It's yeah.
But Rick and Sonny are good, aren't they? Aren't they good from the last time I checked?
I think they were ended off decently, but I could be wrong. That's what everyone seems they keep saying. So I'm gonna go with that for now because I did take a break from watching General Hospital. So like when I came, let's put it this way: when I came back, they had some woman that they were playing Maxie that had brunette hair for a
Mm-hmm.
little bit. So like any things that happened, like the whole Rick and Nina and stuff like that, marrying, like that was news to me a little bit. You know.
Yeah, I totally forgot that Rick and Nina got married. I'm like, oh, I forgot that happened. Because now that I remember, Rick brought Hayden Barnes to town because of the Drew thing, whatever. Because they thought Drew was Jason, and I think it was, oh God, Sam was with Silas Clay, and Nina showed up in town. Nina was played by Michelle Stafford. Nina showed up in town, and God, I'm trying to remember. Nina showed up in town, but it was played by okay, I'm trying to lose my train of thought here. Okay, I'm trying to figure out like how did he end up marrying Nina? Like how did I miss that? That's the problem I'm trying to remember. Like I totally forgot about that in GH, how they end up getting together, in a sense. You weren't watching at that time. Yeah, I'm
Well,
trying to remember. Well, Rick and Nina, like how they got married. Like I never even recall that.
yeah. I don't remember that. Well, I wasn't watching at the time, so yeah, of course I wouldn't remember that.
And my thing is too is that when Nina was just like, "Oh, I didn't know that you knew who Rick was. I would have never introduced you guys." And I'm like, "Y'all are part of Sunny's world. I know y'all know who Rick is. Like, stop playing. I know y'all both know who Rick is." And funny enough, it's crazy. That means Nina's been married to both brothers, which had never occurred to me.
Yeah, yeah,
That never
yeah.
occurred. That never occurred. So now I'm like in my mind, okay, so I like to see Ava and Rick romance. I wouldn't mind it. I don't know if Ava should be having a child with Rick. Rick looks like Rick and Sunny too old to be having kids. They're too old to be having kids. But it would be cool though. It would be dope. It would be dope. She had another child that Sunny had no claim over. That would kind of be nice. But what do you think about the direction they're taking Ava in as a lead?
The direction of what?
The direction that they're taking Ava, that they've been taking Ava in lately.
I mean, I don't hate it. I felt like it was a little kind of erratic, but that's also might have been due to whatever writer that was sitting there playing her. That might have been sitting there writing for them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with the direction of the character. It's I would sit there and say this. I felt like at one point they were writing this character so like into a corner because rumor had it that they were gonna kill her off,
They should have.
and it came down between her and John. He decided to kill off John.
Okay.
So I felt like her character was written into a corner, and now because of the whole John Case thing is over, now she's going to start to get back her footing again. I felt like that was the thing that was just very jarring.
So
I
do you
will
agree with
sit
that
there and say,
decision between John being killed off and not her?
yeah, I like Ava. And I felt like they had to have again for Sonny, it's like, oh, we got to have somebody to sit there and for Sonny to sit there and beat up just so that we could show how powerful and sympathetic that we are to Sonny. So we'll destroy John K's character. Um, because I mean, let's be honest, they didn't really do his character justice when he came back in the first place.
And then,
They didn't have him look like him.
now,
It, you know,
but the cool aspect of this though is that like we're not getting a who done it or a serial killer mystery. We know it was Sunny, so we're just really watching Sunny go through the motions, which I kind of like that. So no one's insulting our intelligence. Even when Matt came to Robert's office, Bob was like, "Well, you know that Sonny Corinthos is suspect number one," and I was like, "I like that. Like nobody's putting their blinders on here. We all know it was Sunny. Sunny knows it was Sunny." But we're watching the emotions play out with the storyline, and that's what I kind of like about it. And the thing about it is that the only person who can be thinking differently is Alexis because it's not the gun. So I like that they added that element in there. It gives it a little bit of a nice little spin. But I like that because GH has been like I like that GH is not insulting or telling his viewers. Where like people are like, who could have killed John Kites? There's a lot. He's got a lot of enemies. You know, Magic Robinson. He's got a lot of enemies. Who could have killed him? It's like no, we know what's Sunny. Like they all know what's Sunny. They're just trying to find evidence to prove it, and I appreciate that. But in that process, we get to see Sunny try to cover up his crimes, drag Carly in the mix. Michael's in the mix, so Michael is keeping a big secret from his wife, and she's also keeping a big secret from him, and they're both
Yeah,
keeping.
and then you guys said exactly, but you guys sit there and think about like what secret is worse. In the grand scheme of their marriage, like what secret is worse? Yeah, he's covering up a crime for his father. That's out of love and loyalty. You sit there hooking up with my uncle. Yeah, I'm gonna sit there and think that your secret's a lot worse.
Who saved her life, helped save her life.
And you're still planning on banging my uncle. I'm pretty sure that's a worser secret.
Who
Pretty
helps?
sure that's a worser secret. So that makes it not as bad.
I think it calls into question the severity of it.
Okay. Yeah, sure. That
You know, the thing is with the both
okay.
keeping secrets, the thing about it is that okay, Willow's secret is probably the worst because Michael is trying to help his family, and she is just trying to get it in. And I don't think Willow can get pregnant, right? I don't think she can. So hopefully, I don't even want them to go down that route. Um, hope they don't. But the thing about it is that Michael's also keeping a secret too from her. And the thing about it is like anybody from the Quartermain state could have easily have seen that. And that's what I think is going to happen. Somebody had to have seen Sunny. Maybe that's what's going to come out in the storyline is that somebody from the Quartermain state did see something. Like somebody who was already in the room saw him. And maybe they're covering for him. It was Brooklyn or whoever, but somebody else saw him in a sense. Because like I said, everybody knows his son. He's like suspect number one. But unfortunately, Alexis believes her daughter's in the list too, for whatever reason, because of the gun. So it's just it's an interesting storyline, and then but like Kate's trying to kill Ava felt so random to me. It felt a little bit too much. Like all this just to really get back at Sunny, it was a bit much. Y'all even slept together. My goodness.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, again, that's where it goes back into we were saying before earlier, and I might have said this in my review or whatever, that they destroyed his character in a sense. I don't I can't imagine Jagger was that unhinged. But then they bring him back and they turn him into this version, and now he's been out for blood for like years, and like, oh, that loser. He had nothing else going for him except for me because I'm just so cool. I'm just sunny and everything. And it's like that's how you want people to remember him, as opposed to the guy before that had a life, and then you turned him into him killing people and just like, bro, you had a son. You doing all this like. Oh, I guess you kind of forgot about your son, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Jagger has a son. It was never even mentioned. This is my thing too. I feel like the writers did this on purpose, casting this tall white man in the role of Jagger. They did this on purpose, so because they wanted to bring in someone who had a history with Sonny, but then they don't have history at the same time. So like we know he's Jagger, but he's not Jagger at the same time. I think this was done intentionally, so we know that they can justify the backstory with this character, right? Instead of bringing something out of thin air, but also at the same time, us not associating it with Antonio Sabato Jr. Because, like I said, when it's a recast, it's almost like they're a whole different character. I always feel like a recast almost like a whole different character. Almost always. It's like a whole different person in the role. Like when I saw Lindsay Hartley as Sam at the funeral, I didn't see Sam. I saw Teresa Lopez Fitzgerald sitting in Port Charles. That's what I saw. I didn't see, Sam there. Because, like I said, the recasts are just totally different. When Tyler Christopher played Stefan on Days, it was totally different than Brandon Barash's Stefan. Two totally different Stefans that were played. Two totally different ways that they played Stefan. And Drew Garrett's Michael was totally different from Chad Duell's Michael. Remember Drew Garrett when he was screaming?
Yeah,
That was the return Michael. It was good. I loved it. But then they brought in Chad Duell, which is more calmer and softer, right? It's two different
yeah,
Michaels. You know, even the Carlys, I don't want to explain that one. They're all different. They're all, it's like a whole different era of Carly. We look at them, honestly, a whole different era of each of them. So this is stuff I think about. So for me, um, this Jagger, like I know I've seen Tony Sabato on Junior on Night Shift. He was never giving this kind of vibes. He was never giving that kind of vibe. He just honestly like he was a more helpful person, more one of the good guys who tolerated Sonny. It wasn't crazy about him maybe, but tolerated him. So this was very off the cusp. And then this whole storyline being about Karen, but yet Scott is never him and Scott don't have conversations. This is Scott's daughter we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. You're correct.
That was a
You
very
are
weird
correct.
thing. How is this about Scott's daughter? Yet Scott is never in the mix for this conversation ever. It's the weirdest thing. So
Yeah. Um. Any other thing you want to say things say before I end this?
jeez, this is a good lie. We went on for 2 hours, man.
I know. Well,
On
that's what happens whenever we sit there and start talking. It just went past what we expected to talk. But I already knew that though.
It was good. Also, it was good. I know I got to pick up my Walmart pickup in a little bit, pick up my groceries, but I had a good. It was good. Honestly, it was good being able to talk without. It's different when we don't have the chat in here, right? It's kind of different without the chat. It's very different.
Well, like I said, it's that's what I said. It's bringing it back old school. Before since y'all watching this, I was like, let's do it old school. You know, like when we first started, we sit there. It was so many other different apps and stuff like that we tried or whatever to like kind of do these collab videos. It was like insane. Um, but yeah, I was like, yeah, no, it's cool. You know, so I was like, let's bring back old school. This way, people watch it and stuff like that, and
And
kind
we're
of form their
getting
own opinions and
and we're
stuff.
getting back to chat tonight, right? We're going back to the members live tonight.
Absolutely,
We're going back to the members
Saturdays
live.
and Sundays.
Yeah, Saturday and Sunday. You want to the membership live tonight? You know, I'm really miss recording. I'm ready. I'm ready at some point to get back on it. But man, like it's been nice being able to jump on, hop on, because like I said, I've been to school, so it's nice to still. That's the thing with the soap community. They always have a special place in my heart because literally nobody in my life watches soaps. Nobody. If I find a guy who is good looking, who watches the soaps, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. Listen, it's a wrap. It's if I got that I like and he watches soaps, it's a wrap, man. Because I think they soaps are. It's. I wish I had more people to talk to them about, but people really don't watch soaps. They really do not watch soaps. I can see why soaps be dying. So with the Gates, they need to get on the marketing. They need to have somebody from primetime come into the show. You can't just have it all be daytime people like woo, and us daytime people be celebrating. But like, we want the show to survive, so you need a name. This is why like Maurice Bernard was like, I need GH to have that Sopranos kind of feel because that's what attracted the men to GH. That's what attracted the whole remake that kept this show going. I mean, the '80s stuff, the secret agents kept it alive for a little bit, but then he was like, okay, once you're ushering the '90s, we need another fan base to keep the show going. And he was like, he mentioned that he was intentional about that. And so I think the Gates has to be. They have to be intentional about what kind of audience they're gonna have. You know, bring somebody from prime time to come on. Bring people to guest star on the show too. From time to like One Night to Live did that, but by the time One Night to Live did that, it was too late. So when they had Snoop Dogg on, and he was in Lambview, and he was getting into a little bit of a verbal match with Blair Kramer, it was cool and it was cute, but like it was already too late. The already bottom the ratings, the writing was on the wall. It was too late. But I think those little things they can incorporate out of the gates, we can get somewhere. You know, bring people in from CBS and other shows. That way, on People's Magazine, and those celebrities can promote, hey, I'm going to be on this show. Like Wayne Brady on The Bold and Beautiful was genius when they did that a year and a half ago. It was genius. But the problem is they never brought him back, unfortunately. But it was genius. It was genius stuff. And I feel like they need to get back to that stuff for the show to survive because it's something about that 2 o'clock hour. It's always been cursed. None of those soaps have survived. None of the 2 o'clock soaps have survived. If you notice, so
Yeah,
you got
I think for me in New York, that's when One Like to Live came on. Like 1 o'clock was All My Children, 12:30 was Port Charles, and of course 3 o'clock is General Hospital
GH.
for
So
New York time. So
let me ask you this: what do you want to see different with the gates?
I don't know, and I think that's I would have to think about that, and I would sit there and say that because when you've been just given the same thing, and for me, from four shows, it's like somebody's not there saying, "What do you want? What do you want for Christmas?" You know, as opposed to you just not there just getting stuff from whatever store or whatever company gives it to you, and they just give you kind of just the same thing. You got the real Santa Claus being like, "Okay, so what do you want?" I don't know, son. I got to sit there and think about it for a hot minute. I mean, I'm so used to the same thing. I think that's the thing. I would have to sit there and think about that. I can't sit there and say off the top of my head. I would actually have to think about that
I just
because I
hope they
want to
don't
give a really
go
good answer.
wealthy family thing all over again. Like I feel like that's been. I'm okay with it, but I just want something different. Like I mean, I hope they've studied the international soaps, the British soaps, and seen what they've done, and try to incorporate that with American culture, stuff that we can actually relate to. Because I think if they
You
just
do
stick
realize,
oh, go ahead.
but they did sit there and say it's going to be, from what I understand, about a wealthy, affluent black family.
And I get
That's
it
that's
because
that's
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, no, that's all I'm saying. So like,
I get it because especially with them being black, you don't want them to be middle class. And people are like, why is it? What time it's about black family? They gotta be middle class. So I get it. They kind of have. To do this. I get it. I totally get it. I just want them to tell storylines that these people can relate to. Because if they just think about making everybody black, that's gonna be enough. They need to make this relatable. They have Bob Guza on, so Bob Guza knows. Bob Guza, if he's still who I believe he is, he will get us with a cliffhanger that first week. Because if there's no cliffhanger that Friday, I'm out. It's like Shark Tank. That reason I'm out. There's no cliffhanger that Friday. I need to see a cliffhanger that first Friday. You know, but I want them to tell storylines that make sense. I want to see, give us the representation that we need to connect with these souls. Because I don't know if you ever got a chance to even see Hollyoaks yet. Have you watched the full week of Hollyoaks yet?
no.
No, probably won't because it's similar to One Life to Live, so you probably won't be watching it. But the thing about it is with Hollyoaks is that it's a really, it's a really I don't expect them to mimic those kind of souls, but I want them to see them have that same kind of energy. But we'll see how it is. I'm giving them 1 week, 5 episodes.
Okay.
Black
And
comedy.
just for context for people that don't understand, because like he gets a joke, but I don't think other people do. Like I do practically work full time, and I do 4 soaps reviews, and I do about 2 hour live streams, so it's very difficult to try to add on another show. So just for context for other people to understand.
It's good. Yeah, it's very
Um,
tough. It's very tough. So I mean, yeah, because I used to watch nine souls back in the day when I was a kid. I used to watch nine. So I have
yeah, well,
three
you
in my
were a
room,
kid,
my room, three in my
exactly, but
mom's.
but but you were a kid that didn't actually have a full time job.
That's true. That's true.
So just throwing it out there.
That's true. That's facts. I can't even lie. That's facts.
But no, like I said, five is going to be. Now I'm just looking at a text. Five, five is going to be a lot,
Oh,
but
that text
it's
message. That text message.
but it's fun to do. Like sometimes people sit there and ask me, it's like like how do you do it, or isn't that a lot? It's like, yeah, but it's fun though. You know, and I like doing the 4 soaps because you get 4 different perspectives on some of these situations, and sometimes you can sit there and kind of look at this one and compare it to
Make
that show and
comparisons.
that show. So it's
Yeah.
like, and they give you different energies. So that's what I love about doing the watching all 4 of them. So 5 is going to be tough, but it'll happen. It'll be fun.
That's why I love that I've seen all nine of them because I can make all comparisons. Like, oh, I remember this. This reminds me of this storyline, or this stuff did that, or like I was talking about like Ava, like with Mar West. I was like, it would compare all her different soap roles, and I was like, Ava Jerome is the strongest I've seen have more range, or seeing Cassie DePie was Chelsea Reed on Guiding Light, Blair Criminal Like to Live, and then Eve Donovan on Days, which I think Blair was the strongest. So it's like you get to make all these comparisons. So even with the 4 soaps, you get to make the comparisons and seeing how they pan out. Now with the Gates, I wonder what kind of theme is the show gonna take on? Because it just being a black soap, I want a little more. Like you're gonna need to have a theme run throughout the show and you keep it consistent because the soaps I noticed that lack the theme are the ones that are pretty much no longer here. Besides the Divine Nine, the 9 soaps that we had. Outside of that, the soaps that didn't have a theme, they didn't last. They really didn't last. Another World didn't have really a theme. They didn't last. You know, if you look at Santa Barbara didn't have a theme, Somerset didn't have a theme, Sunset Beach didn't have a theme to what the show was about. You know, and so it did last. And because the show needs a strong identity. It needs a strong identity because if you're watching different soaps, you're looking for like different ways to contrast what these soaps are about. So they need a strong identity. Passions was a supernatural soap. It was balls to the walls. Days was kind of a little supernatural too, a little bit in between. Another World didn't have that. So if we could find out what that theme is for the Gates, maybe it's a show about industrial working citizens working for a rich family, similar to EC Dingo, which is the South African soap. It needs a theme. Again, at least an initial working theme, and then down the line you can branch off. A general hospital, hospital. And it kind of still is about it, but we need that core theme.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but it's weird though. I mean, they did kind of push away from the hospital stuff. I mean, they have it in there and it's incorporated, but like I heard back way back when it used to be more focused on it. Um, but I also heard that was a reason why I almost got canceled because it was too focused on it. So it's like,
They had to
but you know,
pivot.
again, exactly. But you know, it's. I mean, I guess it's important to sit there and be able to change tactics a little bit when it's needed to keep the show going and stuff like that. You know, they went from the hospital to the adventure stuff to the soprano stuff, and now it's like, you know, they're doing something a little bit different. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, because it's like
But
it's like
I
you're.
have
Go ahead, go ahead.
nothing to say. Like I have high hopes for the Gates.
I do too. I
We'll
want them
see
to
what
change that
happens.
name. I need a soapy name, like Together Again. Or I need something soapy. The Gates. I guess that's what we get in 2025. I want a soapy name.
Let's sit there and see what the show is about, and then we can sit there and criticize the name. Because I mean, we can sit there and say it now, but then when we watch it, it may make sense. May sit there and look back at it and like it may make sense. So we'll see.
Because I want a soapy
Um,
name. Tomorrow Never Says Goodbye or something like that. General Hospital. Look at that. You can't work that thing into a sentence.
I don't know. I guess, but like I said, I mean, well, I don't know. We'll
You
see.
can't.
I'm cool with
You,
the Gates.
you tried,
Like
but you can't work into a
if
sentence.
I'm just going to say, like, I think it may make sense down the line when we start watching it why it's called the Gates.
Okay.
You
Okay.
know, because yeah, it may not be, it may feel flat compared to whatever a soapy name is, but if we watch it, it's, I guess for me, it's like if I watch a superhero movie or whatever, and I look at the costumes, like, the costume's very whack, but then I see it in action, I'd be like, oh, okay, cool, it may actually work. So that's how I'm just not there looking at the name. It may not seem soapy, but like when we watch it, it may make more sense
You have a
if
point.
that's a comparison.
The British soaps are not called those titles that go by the name of like location. Like what location of the town is in the show. EastEnders, Hollyoaks, Coronation Street, Emmerdale. And those shows are pretty good. So you know what? You got a point, Mr. Bostic.
Let's see. We'll see. But I do want to thank you for joining, though. Thank you for coming through. Appreciate you. Um, yeah. Anything you want to sit there and say before you end?
Well, I'm grateful to be on here. It was a good chat. I look forward to more, and this has been a great night. Saturday Night Live.
Absolutely.
Wait, no, Saturday night,
Absolutely.
not the live.
Or Sunday, whenever you're sitting there watching it. But yeah, thank you for joining, everyone. And yeah, we'll sit there and see you in the next video and live stream.
We're out.
Later.